oh, $40 for a t-shirt is so much, but I'm like, you don't see me hunched over in my kitchen or in my basement at night, like spending hours, if not days, sewing tags on shirts. But that also gives me such a level of like satisfaction when I'm at a show or I'm at an event or out in public and I see someone wearing that shirt, because I'm like, wow, that shirt went through my hands, it went through my sewing machine, I put that tag on, and like that person spent their hard-earned money buying something that I created with my hands, and that just has so much more of a personal touch to it.
Absolutely, and that is why we wanted to have you on the podcast. Yo, what is going on, everyone? Welcome to Substance Podcast. I'm your host, Liam.
And I'm your other host, Matt.
And today we have, once again, another guest on. We have Zach from Misguided Media. We have name dropped him a couple of times on this podcast when it comes to talking about brands, and we even mentioned him in the Riverside episode, but we'll get onto that in a little bit. This week has been relatively calm. I feel like there's not really been a whole lot going on. I don't know, Matt, anything crazy going on? Just life shit. Every week I feel like I ask you this question and you just like, you know what, just working.
Man, I'm grateful to be healthy and alive and have a roof and some food and a nice car, man. Other than that, we're just
hanging out.
Doing the same thing.
Yeah, but it's been a relatively simple week for me, at least. I've had quite a big response to the last episode, where a lot of people have just seen the title of it, which they're probably not even going to be listening to this episode, so it's kind of redundant for me to even address it. But there's just been a whole bunch of people that have just seen the title of the previous episode that says the end of LEP Automotive, and obviously like the intro clip, which the point of it is to draw people in, and then they don't actually listen to the podcast or watch it, and so they're just like posting on social media like, oh, I'm so sad LEP is done, blah blah blah, when if they'd actually listen to
never see Liam again.
I was going to say, if they'd actually listen to the episode like they're supposed to, if they actually cared and were supportive, you would know that it's not like I'm done with everything. But I don't need to go over that in this episode.
Hey,
it's just
really
it's
quick,
interesting how that happens.
I want to knock this out of the way really quick.
Yeah.
I apologize in advance for any sniffling on my part, because my allergies are beating my ass, so I apologize for that. Ahead of time. Sorry about that.
How dare you have allergies,
Hey
man?
There's a pandemic. If you forgot, just in case.
I just don't. It gets a little much sometimes, so I want to acknowledge it ahead of the time. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh, so we just sat down to record and like put the headphones on, and we could hear like a weird noise. It was like a scream, and Zach thought it was a cat.
I thought it was a cat too, to be honest.
There was a little girl outside of the garage door screaming, which was interesting. Matt went out there and was like, "We could hear you actually."
Oh, I figured you could.
We just heard the door.
A better guy than
Bro,
I was.
it was like low key. It was kind of awkward because I was like, "Are you okay?" She was just kind of looked at me like, "Obviously not, you dickhead."
We heard all the stuff going on. From
and I was like, "Did you fall?" And she was like, "Yeah," and I was just kind of like, "Where's your mom at?" And sure enough, her mom's like walking down the street, like right here, and I was like, "Oh."
It sounded like a rough cry, too. It sounded like one of those ones where she was, like, winded when she first got her.
I'm saying. Like, I thought I was going to walk out there. She was going to have, like, her fucking bone sticking out of her leg or something, but I don't know. Hopefully not, but maybe it was worse than it looked like. But
so, yeah, once again, this studio setup is not ideal. Just all kinds of noises and things that be happening here, but that's part of it. We make do, and hopefully this will grow someday and be a bigger thing, and we can actually have like a studio space for it. But yeah, since there's not really been a whole lot going on, let's jump into Zach. I want to, I guess give an introduction, who you are, where you're from, and then we'll kind of get into Misguided a little bit.
Okay. Well, I'm Zach Addington. I run Misguided Media and Apparel, based out of North Knoxville, Tennessee, born and raised. I've been doing Misguided for since January of 2019, January 1st, matter of fact. It started out with just I was doing photography. I was in college studying as a photo major, and I had an Instagram that was mostly just like two-dimensional art that I was making. I was into sketching and doing a lot of like just pen on paper painting and stuff like that. And it was actually a lot of inspiration from, you know, brands like yourself. There were several other brands that I saw that were, you know, just killing it with photography and doing stuff with cars. And I was like, well, you know, if they're doing it, why can't I? So I just said, you know, this would be a great way to showcase my photography as well as like my two-dimensional design. And I think it was, like right around Christmas time, 2018, I told myself I really want to create a company, like a brand that represents what I'm into, the aesthetic that I like, and showcase my love of cars, my passion for photography. And from there, it was pretty much a wrap. I came out with one sticker back in 2019. It was like an Arizona T knockoff. And then I did a white T-shirt with blue lips with like gold fangs on the back. And ironically, like everyone fucking loves that design. That's been like one of the biggest fan favorite designs that I've released. I've had so many people request to bring it back.
Really?
But I don't know why. I did not like the white shirt design with the color scheme that I was doing. And the shirt quality was just trash. I mean, it was awful. And that's why I only put out one shirt that year, was because, you know, I really wanted the merchandise that came from the brand to be top tier. You know, I didn't want it to just be some other sticker T-shirt brand, because there's so many of those out there that come around and die within a couple of years. Yeah,
and I mean, it's interesting that you mention, you know, just doing it and making something that represents the stuff that you're into, because that's how a lot of it starts for most of us that start brands. It's kind of just like you have stuff that you're into, you have a style that you like, and then you just use the brand as an excuse to get that out to other people that may be into it too. And, you know, I was very much the same way. And it's funny that your, you know, most favorite or most popular design that you did initially was a non-car related design, which I guess actually is probably helpful for you in the position that you're in now, because you make a lot of stuff that isn't car specific. Like a lot of it is more fashion oriented.
Exactly. And I really tried to make that a point, because I've probably put out about maybe 12 to 15 shirt like pieces. Yeah. And only 2 of them actually have a car on them. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want every single design to be car related, because I wanted it to be a brand that non-car people could wear. I didn't want it to just be something.
That's a massive service to yourself too, you know, because like
it just limits your audience.
Exactly,
your market.
Exactly. You know, if you're only doing stuff that pertains to cars, like, you know, if you decide you want to do like just a clothing brand or like a streetwear brand or like whatever it may be, if you know, if you have a few designs that are focused on cars, but the rest are just kind of like just designs. Yeah. You give yourself so much more wiggle room, like now and in the future.
And the first car design I did that actually had a car on it was an E30 that had like smoke billowing out the windows, and it was like called the Hot Box T. Yeah. I love that design. And then I did another one with a Testarossa that I drew, and I drew both of them. I do all my own graphic design. I make all the designs for the shirts myself. I sew the tags on myself, you know.
Oh, we know. They don't, but we know for sure.
It's crazy because, you know, some people, you know, they'll bitch and complain and be like, oh, you know, $40 for a T-shirt is so much. But I'm like, you don't see me hunched over in my kitchen or in my basement at night, like spending hours, if not days, sewing tags on shirts. But that also gives me such a level of like satisfaction when I'm at a show or I'm at an event or out in public. And I see someone wearing that shirt, because I'm like, wow, you know, that shirt went through my hands. It went through my sewing machine. I put that tag on, and like that person spent their hard-earned money buying something that I created with my hands, and that just has so much more of a personal touch to it.
Absolutely, and that is why we wanted to have you on the podcast, is because, you know, out of a lot of brands and a lot of people that we know, you are like, this is a very, to put it in perspective for other people, like your brand is not huge. I don't mean that with any disrespect, but it's a smaller niche brand, and the type of attention to detail that you are putting into it, and that I see come across with the products that you put out, the marketing, the types of, you know, just little niche things that you will put out, like events, whatever, is the type of stuff that you would expect from a brand that makes shit tons of money and is like huge. You are doing those same touches and those things that are like very important to the consumer at like such a ridiculously like small level in comparison to these other brands. And I
really appreciate that. You know, I appreciate y'all bringing me on here. You know, I've had multiple people come up to me at like a show or just text me on Instagram or something and ask me, they're like, do you work for Misguided? Like it's like a warehouse with multiple people that work there, right? And I'm like, oh no, dude, like it's just me. I can't take credit for everything because there's definitely been a lot of people that have shown me so much love and so much support since day one that I wouldn't be here without. But for the most part, as far as like the brand design, the web page management, the Instagram, the photography, the designs on the shirts, that's all me. And I put what I care about into the merchandise, into the products. And I really just do it for me. If I don't like it or I wouldn't wear it, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to put it out. There's been a handful of designs that I thought, that's probably not my best piece, but I'm still going to wear that shit.
Yeah.
But as far as, other people getting on board with it, if I make a design that me and my homies think are cool, that's all that matters. And if other people fuck with it and they want to spend money on it, that's even better.
Yeah.
But
I was the same. I mean, I hear, it sounds like weird for me to say this, I hope it doesn't come, but like I hear so much of myself in regards to like what you're saying, because I was the same way with Not Fast. Like,
oh, dude, Not Fast was the shit. Like, I knew about Not Fast back when I was like in high school, like when I was like a senior.
Did you actually?
Dude, like when y'all had Dustin on here from Okie Doke, I've talked to Dustin several times before y'all even had him on here. It's interesting to see how tight niche this. I think at one point someone referred to it as like a niche internet T-shirt brand or something, and I was just like, that community of people, especially in the car scene, because the car scene's already small as it is.
Yeah,
a lot of people know each other via like social media. But when you're creatives and you do photography and you're able to bounce ideas off each other and just communicate as friends, it just takes so much pressure off of you. And talking to Dustin and, talking to you, talking to Matt, it's just cool to see the personal side of things. Because, when I was in high school and I see these brands, all you think about is the merchandise, the products and stuff. You don't think about the people that are making them and everything, and the work, the time, the money, and the energy that goes into this kind of stuff.
Oh,
and people often take that for granted on so many levels.
Well,
absolutely.
The thing that I noticed, and I'm really like grateful for that it kind of ended up this way, is people that operate the same way that we do, the same way that Dustin does, where like what you're doing is you're doing it because you love that shit. You're not doing it to appeal to anybody. Like, you're just doing it for the reasons, for the reasons that we spoke about. You know what I mean? Yeah. And one thing that I noticed in doing Not Fast, and I mean, Dustin's just a great example, is like people that approach it the way that we do tend to find each other, honestly. You know what I mean? It's not... the fact of the matter that you're sitting next to me now,
it's crazy.
Well, not even like that, bro. It's just like you and we're sitting here talking to each other now. You know what I mean? So we found a way to end up in the same space. You know what I mean? Because
exactly.
Well, that's
we think about this the same way.
I was gonna say, like, it's cool that you mentioned, the niche T-shirt thing. Like, it is a fairly niche thing, all of these brands that are involved in the car community, but it is also an even smaller niche of people that do everything themselves, all original content, like they're involved with every single part of it, and it is purely from a passion standpoint. Like, it is not a thing that was put out there to make a bunch of money. Like, that niche is so much smaller than just the niche of like brands in the car community, because there's thousands of brands that pop up all the time. There's some that are huge, but there really isn't enough recognition, at least from my perspective, or I mean, I can't speak for all of us, but I think I kind of can. There is definitely not enough recognition for the guys like us that are literally involved with every bit of the process through creating a brand, whether it's, you're sitting in there 3 o'clock in the morning, sewing a bunch of things onto a fucking shirt when you have to be at work the next morning, just being intimately involved with every part of that business is insane. And I don't think enough people really like appreciate the work that goes into this stuff. I think that a lot of people latch on to big brands that they see on the internet because there's a lot of hype around it. And big thing for me with the podcast, like I said on the last episode with Dustin, is that, well, it wasn't the last episode, 2 episodes ago, I like to be able to provide that platform where we can expose more people to brands where people are just putting in the work themselves. And I love that.
And you'll really tell when people really, really fuck with what you're doing. because they'll stick around. You know, when those people complain about like, oh, $40 is a lot for a t-shirt, those are usually the same kind of people that wouldn't hesitate to drop $150 on a Supreme release or, you know, a Gucci t-shirt, which, and not to name drop Supreme in a bad way, because I mean, I love Supreme. I've taken a lot of inspiration from Supreme, like probably many other streetwear brands.
I mean, clearly they've got a cool business model down, but it is an interesting observation.
Well, it's
to
a
see
consumerism thing.
Right.
That's exactly, he's right.
People will buy into the hype and
they see like,
turn
oh,
a
my
blind
friends
eye.
are wearing this, so automatically it's cool, and it justifies me spending that money on it too.
Right, which you could literally have the same effect with a small niche brand like this. Is if a bunch of people that are, you know, cool people that a lot of people know in the car community start wearing this brand, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's a cool brand to wear. And sometimes it doesn't even matter how good the designs are. A lot of these companies that just pop up out of nowhere and are putting stuff out, there's not a whole lot of thought that goes into it. It's just like, what's going to hit? Let's put it out, and people buy into it, and then it grows, and more consumers like, oh, that's a cool brand. I saw so-and-so wearing it. And yeah, I think that a lot of, you know, people like us get pushed under the rug, really, just because.
And there's definitely like a cookie cutter palette as far as like what appeals in the car community right now.
Sure.
You know, like if and I think even Dustin said this in one of the last episodes, is like, if I put out a fucking design with broken hearts on it, or like a crying anime girl, or, you know, some sort of sad boy content, it's going to sell, but that's not me. You know, that's not what I want my brand to represent. You know, I think that all of us have dealt with some sort of depression or phases of just, you know, mental health struggles where we've been down before. Because I mean, we're into cars, so that in itself is already stressful beyond recognition.
Yeah.
It's about as financially practical as being a meth head. But, you know, I feel like we've, as a car community, have glorified and almost like profited off mental health struggle, you know.
100%.
And it's odd because coming up in the kind of family that I was raised in, where, you know, it was all hot rods, lowriders, Impalas, stuff like that. You know, I used to go to car shows from the time I was born today, you know, and never once have I seen people in that kind of community putting broken hearts and like sad boy liveries on their car and stuff, because that shit's not cool, you know.
Well, it's like, for those too, it's like they don't even need that kind of fucking like gimmick. You know what I mean? Like those cars, they don't need to fucking lean on anything like that.
Right.
I just feel like plastering your insecurities across your form of transportation just isn't
Right.
really the route to go.
Well, and to clarify on it a little bit more, just so that people don't take it the wrong way, like, I get that nowadays it is more of a thing to be public and be open about your vulnerabilities and, you know, things that you're going through. But it has been taken in the wrong direction, I think, in a lot of places where people latch onto it as a trend. It's like, oh, you know, I've seen more and more people do this and come being more and more outward about, you know, the way that they're feelings. And that's good. I actively encourage everybody to, you know, open up and talk about the things that you have going on.
And by all means, you know, don't think that I'm, you know, cutting down on mental health, because I totally advocate, you know, go to therapy. I feel like that doesn't get encouraged enough.
Retweet.
Like, when you see people pulling up in these cars with broken hearts all up and down the side, everybody's just like, oh man, that's so cool. But I'm one of those guys where I'm just like, man, go to therapy, man. It's like, if you have anxiety, I'm not going to put I have anxiety across the side of my car.
That's what I was going to say. Like, a lot, like with people latching onto it being a trend, that's a perfect example. Like, if you literally have anxiety, why would you put that sticker on there? And I don't mean to like talk for anybody. That's just like a weird thing that, I mean, that's bold.
I mean, hey, I almost respect the level of boldness that you'd have to share that much about yourself just with your car. Because I mean, everybody sees your car. Everybody that sees you on the road, and that says a lot about you. I mean, your car is an extension of your personality, is an extension of your home. I mean, it's the place you spend most of your time when you're not either at work or at home. And it's how you get to those places.
If the message is that you're trying to put across is that, like, hey, my car is in a state of disarray, so am I. I mean, is that really, like, is that proactive to what your cause is?
And when you go to like SEMA and stuff like that, you don't see that at SEMA. I mean, not that SEMA is like the top tier show like it used to be. But I mean, that used to kind of determine what was cool in the car community back in the day when I was coming up, and never once seen anything like that. And
I think the biggest problem that encompasses all of that is that, like, mental health struggle has been like commodified, like especially in the car community, which is like that trend didn't really start in the car community. Like I had seen it on like Tumblr and shit before that, but
it's
like,
been a big thing on Facebook, Tumblr, all of those sites.
It's just the commodification of it is like so strange. And this is just to like rewind just a little bit. You know, when it kind of.
Well, you got to think about it like this, you know, most people that get into cars when they get their license, which is like 16, 17, 18. Right. And that's when a lot of us are at our most like emotionally vulnerable state. That's when we're at our most impressionable phase. We're usually in high school.
Right.
So that's why it appeals to so many people, because so many people in the car community are under 18.
Yeah.
And people think, oh, well, I know that there's a lot of people that suffer with the same kind of, you know, either struggles that I deal with, so I could capitalize off that, and you know,
right. Which it's great. I love that, you know, people are more open about stuff, and they're finding, you know, that community where they feel like they can talk about that stuff with other people. That's great. I want to bring more awareness to it, but like you said, it's the capitalizing on it that makes it into a trend. You know, if it's the cool thing to do to have hearts down the side of your car, or to have a bunch of just shit that expresses that you have issues going on, it's just not proactive to the cause, and ultimately somebody's making money off of it, and that's just weird to me.
It's just odd that being sad has become an aesthetic.
Yes.
See,
which, I mean, it's been an aesthetic that's like for a very long time.
That's what I'm getting at. It's like anybody that has everybody, like I've said this before, everybody's been depressed. You know what I mean? Everybody has had points in their Everybody has had points in their lives where they were depressed. You know what I mean? They were in a depression. But the thing about it is, you know, just to be very clear, like having clinical chronic depression is different than, you know, finding yourself being depressed when hard things are happening in your life. One is not more important than the other. They're both equally valid. But the thing about it is, it's like, if you have been depressed and you're kind of like, you're using that as some kind of like strange aesthetic, like, I got news for you, bro. Depression is not fun. Depression is not fucking exciting. No. Like, depression is being unable to fucking
get out of bed,
leave your bed, and like live your life and like do shit because you just don't have it in you. And then, like, even worse, you know, there's so many people, well-intentioned or just invalidating you, one or the other, or just kind of like, you know, like we all do it. Like, just do it. Like, just get out of it. And it's like, I can't. Like, I don't know how to explain that to you if you've never experienced that. So again, I want to clarify, I'm not saying chronic depression and being in a depressing part of your life, being in depression, one is not more valid than the other. First of all, like you said, go to therapy. Either way, go to therapy, because it will always help you. But
Dan,
like,
we need to get fucking BetterHelp on here as a sponsor,
bro.
That would be so perfect for me to roll into that right now. That would
honestly be amazing. But
damn, that actually kind of sounds fucked up.
And I mean, just to clarify, like, I mean,
you're over here commodifying it, Lee.
Yeah, I was like, damn it, wait, am I capitalizing on it then?
We need to be like Logic and just put down like the number at the bottom of the screen, like call now, and it rolls across
I mean, yeah,
the bottom.
honestly, I'll throw that in right here. That actually would be smart.
But when I started the brand, you know, it was actually the result because I was at like one of the lowest points I've ever been at in my life. I just went through what I thought was the worst breakup.
Perfect time
in my
to talk
life.
about this.
Yeah, you know, I just went through a pretty bad breakup where, you know, I'd put all my eggs in one basket. You know, I was basing my whole future around what this girl wanted to do. And then when it ended, I just found myself in a state of like, what now? You know, it's like, what am I going to do? My life just went out the window.
You know what? We've had this conversation, but same.
I mean, because a lot of us have
did
been
the same thing.
A lot of us have been in this boat, and you know, I think that cars for me was an escape from that. You know, I view cars as almost a level of therapy. I mean, they're very stressful, but at the end of the day, it's what I'm passionate about. It's what I care about, and I feel like my passion is tied to my purpose on this earth. So
fuck yes. Okay, well, actually, that is perfect to lead into like Misguided as the name for the brand. Please talk about how you got to that, because
well, I just felt like that's the direction that my life was heading in at the time. You know, late 2018, I was just going through a lot where, like you said, you know, I was struggling to get out of bed in the morning, where every day just kind of blended into each other, go to work, come home, wake up, do the same thing every day. And the car, and at the time, I didn't have any of the cars that I have now. You know, I had a busted ass E36 that I paid $300 for, that had a blown head gasket that I just disassembled in my garage. And I mean, that car taught me everything I know about E36s to this day, but I never got to the point where I could drive it, just because I just spent so much time in my own pit of just self-pity that I didn't build the motivation to get the car on the road. And then I thought, well, you know, my life feels like it's misdirected, misguided. You know, it's like I wanted to start a brand. That seems like a good name. And there have been times when I've considered changing it, but at the same time, it's like
That's your roots, you know?
Yeah, I stand by with what I do, you know?
That's your roots. So I didn't even know this story. That's cool as fuck. Because, like, one thing I want to say, too, that's really interesting, that I'm glad he, like, transferred into this, because obviously the name, you know your story. Now other people will. Like, it's not super on the nose, but, like, to me, I see that as something for anybody that knows the story. That in and of itself is kind of like, I mean,
Misguided is me. At the end of the day, Misguided is me. Everything that I put out is a representation of what I care about.
That's kind of a success story. You know what I'm saying? Because when you started it, you were in that point, and look where you're at now. You know what I mean? And every time that you think about that, every time that you see Misguided and Misguided Media, I mean, I don't know if you do this, but, like, for me, every time I saw that, it would be whatever millisecond of a thought is like, that's where I was at. Look where I'm at now. Look what I did with that feeling. That's a negative fucking feeling.
And you've turned it into
90% of the time. You know
something
what I mean?
positive, you know?
So you took that, you named the company that, and you decided that you were going to do what you wanted to do. You were going to express yourself and be creative and put maybe what little energy you had at whatever point into doing that. And look where you're at now. And it all fucking started with feeling misguided.
And I feel like the past year has really been when it's kind of started to set in. When I started getting international orders, that's when I really started feeling like
that's when it hits, man.
That is a good feeling.
I've sent probably about 2 or 3 dozen packages to European countries. I've sent a handful to South America. Most of them that are ordered overseas are usually like Germany or like I've had a few supporters in the Ukraine, which, you know, it's a damn shame to see what's going on over there right now, because I've had quite a few supporters over there in Eastern Europe show constant love for the brand. But and when I was talking about, you know, when I considered changing the name a few times, I mentioned this to you earlier when I first got here. A friend of mine, when we went to Slammed Enough Gatlinburg, he'd never been into cars. He's never owned a car that he modified. He got into it because of me. He saw the passion that I had for it, which, shout out my friend Stefan. If it weren't for my friend Stefan Stevens, I probably wouldn't be in the position that I'm in today, because, you know, he has helped me with the brand. He's helped me with just becoming a better person, becoming a better adult. And I just owe a lot of, I just need to give him his flowers on this show, as well as some other people, but I'll shout them out later.
Yeah. But shout out to Stefan.
But Stefan was a big inspiration for me as far as, you know, taking myself serious and getting me out of that rut that I was in. And so him seeing the passion that I had for cars, inspired him to come to Slammed Enough with me. And ironically, it was the last Slammed Enough that was in Gatlinburg. And I remember walking down the strip and him seeing all these cars going up and down the road with all these banners on the windshield. And he's like, why does it seem like everybody glorifies negative adjectives? Like, you always see like violent, misguided, untamed. He's like, where's the good credit society or like the small business clique? He's like, where are those guys? And I was like, the car community does thrive off negativity, so that's just kind of the way
it's interesting you say that. I was thinking about that like just now. I can't remember the conversation that we were having, but I was like, damn, why don't we make like clubs with banners that have like really positive shit on them, like I'm feeling great today .tm instead of I want to kill myself .tm.
I feel like it's like, in a weird way, it's like...
Well, it's because no one would buy it.
Well,
it's
I was going to
cool.
say, there's like a balance, because, you know, to the nth degree, like, let's be honest, to the nth degree, if it's too on the nose, like, it'd be kind of corny. You know what I'm saying?
100%,
but like, at the same time, I think you're a perfect fucking example of the fact that you can build something that's positive, even if it doesn't, like, even if it's not right there in front of your face. If you build something like that, and the more that people get to know you, the more that people get to know your brand, they're going to start to see that. They're going to start to feel that. And it's like, not to plug Not Fast for the millionth time, but that was like one thing that I always enjoyed about the fact that I landed on that name. It's like, I can't tell you how many people have told me, like, I love the name Not Fast. And I'm like, me too. Because it was, like, cool. I stumbled onto it, but you know what else? It was really, like, the thing was, it was, like, kind of ambiguous. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, so when people knew the depth of what Not Fast was about, it's because they had met me or spoken to me or, like, we had DM'd or something. And you know, I communicated to them what it was about. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like it's the exact same thing for you. It's like...
And as someone that comes from the community of, like, slow-ass old 90s European cars, I digged the Not Fast, just the name, because it's like, it was honest. It was, you know, there was another brand that was around, like, the same time. It was just another one of those, you know, sticker brands that came and went after about a year or so. But it was called Last Place Co.
Yeah.
And I just saw that, and, like, a lot of my friends really liked that, and it was always my friends and I that had slow cars, because it was like, you know, all these brands glorify, like, horsepower, speed, performance cars and all that. So what about the guys that are just building stuff to cruise?
I feel like I can kind of tie into that and why those things are actually like a thing, right? If you think about the car community and you think about the different subcultures related to it, mm-hmm. You know, building show cars, building stance cars, making stuff aesthetically look good, we're kind of outcasts on as far as like the whole community. Like if you take car culture as a whole, people that build stuff just to look cool are kind of the people that, for everybody else, we're talked down on. We're the outcasts, we're whatever. And so, you know, brand names and stuff like that really makes sense because it ties in that whole feeling of like, well, I just built my car to look cool. And so Not Fast is relatable for me because I don't care about going fast. The car may look fast, but then, you know, somebody else will... It's not fast at all, and you're honest, like you were saying, and I think that just resonates with people that build car for aesthetics because they don't care about the other stuff, and it's just like it's a way that they can like show that off and just be like, yeah, no, I don't give a fuck, it's not fast.
Oh, you'd be amazed at how many people come up to my E36 and just they'll be like, oh man, this is really cool. I like what you've done with the suspension, the wheels. I like how you've kept it real simple. And then they'll look in the window and be like, oh, it's a fucking automatic. It's not even worth looking at anymore.
Sounds like the TikTok demographic.
I'm like, is that really what matters to you? Like, you know, I'm on my like 15th car at this point, and I've never owned a manual car.
Really?
I have no shame in saying that. It's like I can drive manual, not very well, but I mean, I've just never really seen that much of like a necessity.
It is 100% a teenage thing because the moment that you get like over the age of 21,
you're like, this is impractical as fuck.
Literally,
like,
I used to be the same way.
I drink sodas, you know, try to drink water. But I'm sitting there, you know, drinking a drink, you know, if I want to change a song or if I just want to, I like riding with my arm on the window because I like to cruise, you know. Like I said, I grew up in a lowrider family and stuff, so I like just to drive and look cool and stuff and just do my thing. I build them for me. I think they look cool, and that's what matters, you know. And obviously, people see low cars and they automatically think they're fast. So I get people pulling up to me at red lights all the time.
It's such a
rev bombing me and just being like, "Dude, you want to race?" I'm like, "No."
I used to be.
I don't.
I used to be like the same way too. Like I literally used to be that kid that would like walk around meets. I remember doing it when I was in England, and I'd go to all these like car meets. I'd walk around, look at cars. Like, dude, I could probably see like a Skyline, which is like a cool chassis. I'm like, man, this thing's really cool. And then look through the window, I was like, oh fuck, it's an automatic. I don't give a fuck anymore because I have this new appreciation for cars where it's like the expressive side of me came out. When I was first getting into it, like I had that, but it was hidden away. I didn't discover it yet until later on. It was really me going to car shows and seeing really, really well done cars that brought that out of me. It was like, oh shit, like this is an expression form. Like I can build a car however I want. And the manual thing just like disappeared. It was like, who gives a fuck?
I mean, they don't even make manual cars anymore. I mean,
for
like,
the most part,
the fact that like, what is it? I think they just announced like the Supra's coming out in a manual or something.
Supposedly they're putting the F80 or the G80 motor in the Supra with a manual, which will be insane if they do.
But it's the fact that like manuals are so rare nowadays that when they come out, like people just lose their mind. But, you know, I'd be a bold-faced liar if I said I wasn't aware that driving a manual car is more, you know, you feel more of what the car is doing.
Yeah.
But I'm not one of those people who are just like, I have to be one with the machine. I put the shifter in my ass because me and the machine are one. I have to feel every gear that it goes through. It's like, I don't care. Like, just because I'm not shifting the transmission does not make it any less cool of a car.
I will say that this is just for me. This is a me thing. It's like, it's instinctive. Like, if I see a cool car, I'm going to look at this shit. Like, I'm curious, you know what I mean? Like, I want to know. I think, but for me, like, that's never going to discount a car for me ever, just because I don't care that much. You know what I mean? I think just like the one thing that sits in the back of my head is not even that like automatic cars are inferior, because that's, like you said, that's such fucking high school bullshit, bro. Like, who fucking cares? The only thing that sticks in my head in that situation is like, if I see a car set up in a way that's like would be really fun to like drive the shit out of somewhere, and it's automatic, like because I prefer manual. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like when I look at it and I think about, for me as somebody who prefers manual, I would want more out of it, but especially cars that are just set up to like be cool.
That's what I'm saying. Like, chill. Mine's not a performance oriented build, you know, like all my cars are strictly just to be low, so and OEM plus. Shit. You know, it's like I'm not tracking them, I'm not drifting them, I'm not doing time attacks or anything, I'm not street racing. So it's like, why would I hold that to such a high regard? No. But like, if I got a car that was specifically a driver's car, like an air cooled 964 911 has been my dream car since I was like 14 or 15. Yeah. If I got one of those, obviously I would want it in a manual, just because that's the best version of that car you're going to get. Yeah. But like my E36, at the end of the day, it's an E36. It's like a $1,500 car on its best day. So it's like
you said, bro. If you're just chilling, if you're just cruising, the fuck does it matter if you can? You're not gonna get past third gear anyway.
I mean, it's making that car made like a whopping 195 horsepower from factory. So I mean, 30 years later, you can only imagine how much neglect it has at 270,000. Yeah. I mean, I bought it from the original owner, and I mean, I've got a big ass folder, like, you know, 3 or 4 inches thick, of just every receipt of every quart of oil, every bolt that I've ever put on that car. And then when it gets totaled recently, I didn't even use that. I didn't even realize until after I got off the phone with the insurance company that I could have been like, oh, well, I know that car is worth more than what you're going to pay me because I have all the documents for it. But I was just so happy to just find out that I was going to be able to keep the car, and just, you know, I couldn't get rid of it. So, okay, talk about your E36 a little bit. I wanna hear like the story of it, and obviously the kind of sadder part of it that is more recent. But it'll be all right. It'll be on the road before too long. But yeah, I got the E36 in summer of 2000 and late spring of 2019. I drove to Kentucky to get it. The guy I bought it from, real cool dude. He was I think technically he was the second owner, I believe. And he bought it from the original owner, if I'm not mistaken. And the car spent most of its majority of its life in like Texas. So it was a southern car that I knew wasn't around any like beaches, wasn't up north in the snow. So I was like, okay, it seems like a pretty sturdy car. The dude met me in Kentucky. I brought it home. I paid like $1,800 for it. And I mean, to see the E36 community and just the classic BMW community in general skyrocket the way it has these past couple years has been just stomach turning. Yeah. Because I don't care how cool and tricked out an E36 is. If it's not an M3, it's like a $1,500 car in its best day. It's a base model, you know, 6-cylinder that probably puts out about 150 horsepower. It's
that drift tax, man.
Yeah, I was going to say the thing that's really funny about that is that over in England, E36s are like insanely cheap. I mean, they may have gone up a little bit now, but getting an S chassis over there is a lot more difficult than it is here.
And that's understandable because that's more of like a performance-oriented car.
Right. Well, England the UK it's a small island, right? And so like the accessibility to cars from Japan, like, yes, they're there, but people want to use these cars for drifting. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to like find good S chassis, and like a lot of them rot away, blah blah. It's the same story over here, although this is a way bigger country and they made more 240s. The E36 over there is everybody's go-to like thrash drift car. Like
because they're cheap. Because they're cheap, and the aftermarket community forum is like endless. I mean, you can get anything for an E36. But I recently just drove by a dealership and saw a 318 sedan with like 250,000 miles, been completely repainted, dented all to hell. Headliner was being held up with thumbtacks. Typical E36. You know, the door panel broke off when I closed it. It like fell off in my hand. I was like, nice. And they wanted $5,500 for it.
Damn.
And that's the 4-cylinder.
Damn.
So,
Well,
I mean, you can imagine what the M3s are starting to sell for. I saw one
yeah.
in Texas recently sell for like $60,000.
You used to be able to buy an M3 for like $6,500.
Oh, dude, I got an opportunity to buy one back in like early 2017. It was a Astoral Blue sedan, and that's the only reason I didn't get it was because it was a sedan. I wanted a coupe so bad.
Yeah.
But it was a one-owner, 50,000-mile Astoral Blue sedan, completely original, all stock, and some kid was driving it. He said his dad bought it brand new back in '96.
What?
He said, my dad gave it to me as my first car, and I just want something manual. This one's an automatic, so I'm trying to sell it for like
It was
maybe,
an M3?
Yeah.
What
it was
the
a S52 M3. He was like, I'd probably take like 8,000 or 9,000 for it. And I was like, oh man, I had that at the time. I was selling a car that I had. And I was like, I could probably get this, but do I really want to spend this money on a sedan? I would much rather have a coupe. And then it just slipped through my grasp. I recently saw that car and bring a trailer for like 18,000.
Damn.
Oh my God.
So it's the thing that's funny about that is I've always wanted a touring. I've always wanted an E36 touring. You know, not a lot of people know this about me, but I do really, really like E36s. Just growing up in England, seeing them everywhere, I started seeing, you know, show cars, and the wagons always grabbed my attention because I've always been a big wagon guy. And when I moved over to the US, it dawned on me that they didn't exist here. I guess there was no demand for it. It's kind of like how Audi didn't have like the RS wagons over here. It's just there wasn't a demand, which is really weird because everybody has crossovers now and you think that fucking wagons would make sense. But I always wanted an E36 touring. And before I moved to the US, I was like actively shopping around. Like I really, really wanted to buy one. And they are stupid cheap. Like I was looking for like 1,500, 2,000 pounds, which is,
That's
you know,
insane.
less than $3,000. And they didn't start production on those until I think it was 95. It was 95. So they're legal now. They've been legal for a little bit. But it was hard to find them in 95. It was kind of hard to find them in 96. It was 97 and later that they started becoming more common. So now you can import them fairly easily and you can go buy them in England really, really cheap, or even in Europe if somebody wants an actual left-hand drive one from Germany or whatever. You can buy them really cheap and ship them over here, and people are selling these things for so much profit. It's insane.
If I see an E36 touring in my area, like in Knoxville where I live, I mean, people lose their fucking mind when they see one of those pull up. And I mean, people ask no less than 15,000 for those.
It is insane. Okay, I saw one that was listed for $18,000, and I looked it over.
Was it green?
I don't actually remember. It may have been.
This
But
is hilarious. I know absolutely fuck all about it. I'm just kind of like watching because I know absolutely nothing about it.
This is just years of useless knowledge built up in my head that I just spurt on all the people that I care about, and they're just like, all right, man. I don't even know what these codes mean. I'm just like, nobody does.
Hey, man,
But,
cars are all just letters and numbers.
But what you're saying, like the 95, so the E36 ran from 92 to 98.
Yeah.
The pre-facelift was 92 to 95. That was the 318 and the 325. So you had the option of either a 1.8 4-cylinder or a 2.5 inline six.
which we had a lot more options in England.
And so you had the touring, you had the
316,
M3.
318, 320, 323, 325, 328.
Jesus.
The US
And then
market had shit on
we
it.
had diesel variants of a few of those too. It was ridiculous.
And see, in 92, the M3 was pretty much readily available in Europe from 92 on.
Yeah.
They didn't bring the M3 to the States until 96 when they facelifted the car. They put paint match side skirts with a updated nose panel and a few little other touches like that. But then they changed it from a 3.0 to a 3.2. And
The
then it
M3?
Yeah, because the original M3 from 92 to 95 ran a 3.0. And
Which
then in
didn't
96,
the
they switched
US
to
one,
3.2.
the US M3 get more power than the European one?
Oh, the European one's so much better. It's
Oh,
like,
okay. It's the
got
other way
like
around. My
40.
bad. I
It's
was
got
gonna
like
say.
40 or 50 more horsepower out the gate because they have individual throttle bodies.
Gotcha.
And they have glass headlights. They basically just better in every way. I mean, the
I mean,
US really gets shit on.
Kind of how it
to
is, you know, with the
European
Japanese
imports.
imports and stuff as well. Like, it's just the U.S. just gets the hand-me-downs basically.
I mean, BMW just announced like within the past couple of days that they're going to release
The
a
F80 touring. Right?
Yeah, and it's not going to be available here.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, they said that like BMW has no intentions on releasing it in the US.
Oh,
Because I shared it on my Facebook.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, hell yeah. Not that I'm going to get one. I can't afford that shit.
Right.
But I was like, oh, yeah, I know a lot of friends that would love to drive one of those. And then my friend sent it back to me. He's like, in highlighted, in a big circle. He was like, not intended for U.S. sales. I was like, well, fuck us, I guess.
That is hilarious. But I mean, I get it. The rest of the world hates America, so they really do shit on us for stuff like that. But back to that one that I saw for sale. They were asking.
My bad, I mean to cut
No,
you
no, no,
off.
you're fine. They were asking $18,000 for this thing, or like $18,500, and it was either a 316 or 318. It was a German import, so it was left-hand drive. I believe it was an automatic, had the cloth interior, and it also had a couple rust bubble spots like around the rear window and the rear quarter. And they're asking $18,000 for it. And I was
that's
like,
standard. That's
I
standard.
can literally fly to England, which I plan to do. The next time I'm in England, I'm going to take spare cash with me and buy a touring. But I could have bought that car for probably less than £2,000 over there and just shipped it over for maybe $3,500 and sold it for that much. That's insane. I would never do it because I'm not a piece of shit, but I want to buy one for myself and bring it over here that's right-hand drive and just do like some ignorant 1J swap, like do the click tuning fucking kit on it in a wagon. Oh, what the fuck? The recording just stopped. Are you joking? One moment. All right, guys. Sorry about that. The camera cut out for a second. Not really sure what happened, but we're still here. And this brings me to talk about our sponsor, Wheel Price. That was definitely not a smooth transition.
That was not as smooth as the other one.
No, not like the other ones have been. Hopefully nobody, cut off of this fucking podcast when the camera cut out. But anyways,
That's
Price.
Wheel Price. Just take a deep breath. Just take a deep breath.
Go to therapy.
Okay. Go to therapy.
Wheel Price is a great app for buying and selling wheels. There's a lot of really cool stuff on there. I've been hopping on there and checking out some bits that are on there too. And we're actually thinking about adding a section to our Discord, which we'll mention that in a second, just about stuff that's on Wheel Price and some of the cool wheels that are on there. But if any of you guys are interested, which you should be, if you're into show cars and all of the stuff that we are, it's a great app for finding, your next set of wheels, or even if you're selling a set of wheels, you're having a hard time dealing with people on Facebook Marketplace, which
we all do all the time.
That's probably like the worst place to try and sell anything, although it is great because it gets out to so many people. If you're selling wheels specifically and you don't want to deal with the bullshit, hop on Wheel Price. It's a great group of guys. It's 3 guys, kind of just like us, that are, guys that are involved with everything. They're just super passionate about it. And that's really why I wanted to have them be a part of this show as a sponsor, because they're the same as we are. They're just passionate about it. They're providing a really good service for the community. And we want to work with them. So if you guys would like to support us, please support the people that support us. And that helps make this a better show. And we appreciate Wheel Price. And make sure you guys go download the app. The link should be in the description. And Matt, do you want to talk about the Discord a little bit?
The Discord.
We launched it.
Ladies, gentlemen, we did. We launched the Discord. Me and Liam are still studying. We're going to try and make use of it and just make use of any feature that we can to make it a more, I'm really far from the mic, a more, interactive, cool place to be if you're a fan of the show, or even if you just, end up in the Discord by some other random. We just really want it to be somewhere, where we can, talk more directly to you guys. But other than that, I think, even just since we started it, we already thank you, first of all, to everybody that is on the Discord, because I'll be honest,
it's kind of insane.
I called Liam the day that it was open and you guys had the link. I called him when I was at work because I had an idea that I wanted, because I have a terrible memory, I wanted to tell him before I forgot it. And he was just kind of yeah, dude, this is kind of crazy. I'm like, wait, what's happening? And he's like, we have 100 people all together now. And the Discord link had been on since 12 a.m. that day.
Yeah.
And that was fucking awesome. It was, we 100% we could not have expected that, I guess. We definitely thought it was going to be a lot
I figured
like
it would,
a lot slower.
Yeah, I figured it would be at least a couple of episodes before people caught on. But I'm glad that you guys are on there. And if you haven't joined the Discord yet, the link will be in the description.
And come check it out. Like
Yeah.
even just what's on there right now, the amount of photos and the various channels that have already built up.
Well, dude, we have
it's really fucking.
we have channels for so many different subcultures in the car community. So there's really there's a good mix for everybody. The only stuff that I think we don't have is really like an American section, and that's just because we don't really care. But if there is a demand for it, if there is a demand for it, we would definitely add that.
No, I think no, you're kind of right. We do have one for lowriders, which I think was like the extent of like my American cars. But no, I think I'll probably throw one on there tonight now that he mentions that. But yeah, man, and it's just like the coolest part about it, and all of the photos and links and all that shit that have already built up on it. The more people that come in, it's just more cool shit that you get to see. Yeah. And more. Well,
there's already a ton of people that are contributing stuff in these different channels. The VIP one's got a bunch of like just old 90s stuff, magazine scans, stuff like that. And we just have a bunch of cool channels, and it's a great way to engage with us and engage with other people that tune into this. And I think it'll be really cool when we're putting out more episodes, and you guys can give us feedback and continue some of the conversations from the episodes.
Yeah, there is literally an episodes channel. So I'm really hoping that people will use that kind of as a place. Like I know, shout out to all my guys in the Shad Machines, the Sad Machines Discord, because I kind of got the idea from them because I was pleasantly surprised and very amused when I stumbled. This was like probably 3 or 4 episodes ago, but after the fact, I stumbled upon the fact that when our episode dropped, one of them was live streaming it, and they were just kind of doing like a live commentary, and it was,
which is honestly,
it was fucking hilarious. First of all, but it was also just like that was just a really cool feeling, and I've been unable to like forget that. So that's kind of my hope.
I think we may try and do that on this actually.
Yeah, I think that's kind of my...
Because we released the episodes for this at midnight on Sundays, I'm always confused as to whether that's midnight Sunday or midnight Monday.
I literally ran into this dilemma
12 o'clock
like
Sunday to Monday, like that time frame. You guys, if you listen, you know when it comes out. But I'm thinking Monday evening, when everybody gets off work or whatever, we could do like a live stream on there where we kind of listen, and then anybody that's in there listening at the time that we're streaming it can really have the conversation in the comments and talk about the stuff that we're talking about.
And I think that can be mutually beneficial because one thing, a shout out to anybody that has ever sent me or Liam or just the show a message talking about how this podcast makes their Monday mornings bearable. Mm-hmm. I feel that a lot, and honestly, I think for both of us, that feels really good because anybody knows that Mondays can be fucking a slog, dude. So, the idea that we're helping anybody out even a little bit to try and kind of get through it, that's really cool. But, I think maybe doing a live stream like that, I think would be pretty, you could have the podcast in the morning and then at the end of the day after work and kind of go through it. But either way, the Discord is just, it's already pretty active, and it has just been really cool to watch just people continuously coming in. I mean, it's like I said, for us, we were not expecting it to grow that exponentially that quickly. So that's obviously feels great. Every time you guys are doing stuff like this, you make it clear to us that you fuck with the vision. Like,
I love what y'all are doing. I mean, like, from the first couple episodes, I knew right away, I was like, this is going to be something that's going to last. There's not another company or another brand that I know of that's putting out a car enthusiast based podcast. It's for car enthusiasts by young. Well, I was going to say,
I feel like there probably is other podcasts out there. I'm not familiar with them. But I think that we're catering to a niche that a lot of people are involved with, and nobody is speaking on the things that we are. Like like a lot of the topics that we've covered, before we were doing guests, were some of the more controversial topics, and anybody that is trying to have those conversations outside of this, where it's kind of more of a formal thing, it's just a pissing match. It's people arguing, going
really
back and forth, egos thrown in there. Like, it's just a hard time to have those conversations. The rep wheels topic is a huge thing, and people are unable to sit down and just talk about it rationally because they get so emotionally involved. Like, for us to be able to do this is really cool because we can take perspectives from so many different people. We can take input from other people and really like lay it out and go through every bit of it and come into, like, me and Matt are very good about like not trying to be super biased on everything. Like, whenever we're interpreting something and trying to talk about it, like, we're taking perspective from everybody else. And I don't think anybody else is doing that. So it's definitely cool.
That Rep Wheel episode y'all did was sick. That was one of the first ones that I tuned into, and that's what I liked so much about it, was that is a controversial topic, but y'all kept a pretty open mind with it. But like you said, people just get so damn sensitive now. But at the end of the day, I'm like, bro, it's just the internet.
See, that's
right, it's
that's
not
my
that
thing.
serious,
That's
yeah.
my thing. Every episode it's not that serious. Like, I know it can feel like that sometimes because we're also passionate about this. But like, at the end of the day, this shit is not life and death. Like,
Yeah, it's like, if you like what you're doing, then keep doing
Yeah,
you.
like,
if
who
people don't
fucking
like what you're
cares?
doing, but you do, all the power to
exactly.
you, man.
Let
And it's
bygones
like,
be bygones.
So even if
And I talk a lot of shit, so I mean, if I've said anything that offends anybody or gets under anybody's skin, what is my opinion worth, man? It's like I'm out here just trying to get by like everybody else in my early 20s. So I mean, I just
And
happen to
that's-
have a
that's fair.
platform.
That is
to
a very
stand
good
on.
point.
And
That's all it is.
I really try not to put my personal opinions and stuff on the brand or on the page. I really don't even post myself very much on there. I kind of wanted the brand to be its own thing. But
And you're smart for doing that. But,
Yeah.
there's definitely an argument for being personally involved with your brand and letting your personality be part of it. But
Well,
I think for
there's
the
a
take that you
tactful
have.
balance there.
Yeah,
Because, you know what I mean? Like, when you have a brand, but you get, like, every single part of your personality involved, like, not that it's not important, but, like, as a brand, like, there was probably one time with Not Fast that I was very clear about where I stood on something societally that was very important. And that was Black Lives Matter, right?
same thing when
So-
the riots were happening back in 2020. That's when I put up a post. I was just like, look, if you don't recognize the struggle of civil rights and minority struggle, then don't act like you support this brand.
Well, and that was my thing. And I mean, obviously, I'm not going to launch us down this route because I know all three of us could.
Yeah, we're gonna.
But
go
like
rabbit hole, but
the point is that was the one and only time that I made any societal commentary whatsoever on the Not Fast page. That was the only time. And it's like, y'all, anybody that has met me knows that, like, I feel the way I feel about stuff, right? But one thing I've always kind of, and Liam is the same way. One thing I've always kind of, one of my points of pride, I guess, for myself is I'm very conscientious of, like, using tact, right? And I do that on a personal level, but I also did it on a brand level. And it's like, the thing about that is, in all reality, that is always going to be advantageous to you. Because just because you don't post it, you don't post it like on your brand or on your whatever, needless to say, it's not like you don't care. It's not like but you just, when you have a brand, when you have a business, generally speaking, you don't want to alienate people.
yeah, you don't want to be too controversial because then you're just cutting your audience.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So it's like, when you have a brand, especially with stuff like you, Liam, me, I mean, anybody that has a brand that they're pouring their heart and soul into for, in my opinion, the right reasons, like, there's no reason to, make that take a hit just because you feel like letting off some steam on that page.
But also, like you were saying, like, when it's a topic that is very personal to you and you're very passionate about it, you don't want to have people that are like, if it's something like you were saying, Black Lives Matter, you don't want to have people that are fucking racist being associated with your brand.
Exactly.
So of course that is very important. But yeah, it is a balancing act.
And that's an instance where, you know, I do not mind to gatekeep in that regard. 'Cause,
Yeah.
you know, for my shows that I do up in Knoxville, which, you know, it's probably going to be a minute before I do another one just because I had to move.
Yeah. I want to talk about this actually because I came to one of them. So you host, it is leaving my brain, but what was the name of it?
Oh, Northside Nuisance.
Northside. I was gonna say it left my brain when I was even coming to it because I definitely announced that I was going and gave it a different name. I said like some other shit nuisance or something. I can't even remember.
It's all good, man. The fact that you even came to it, you know, just meant so much because it literally is just me and my homies. You know, like I started that 2 years ago at my house that I was living at the time. I had a big enough backyard, and everybody just kind of knew my house as like the hangout spots where everybody came and smoked. Everybody just kind of worked on their cars, came and just chilled. And usually, if I've shot with a client that I feel, you know, has the same kind of personal beliefs, morals, and, you know, I feel
just
like it's cool.
People that you fuck with, like people that you could be friends with.
And like I said, I've had a lot more clients turn into friends than friends turn into clients.
Which that's like a meme going around right now, isn't it?
And
well,
I mean,
not a meme, but
that's not
it's
my original quote,
around.
but I'd stand by that wholeheartedly. I mean,
absolutely.
There's been so many people that I've met that, I mean, majority of my closest friends now I've met through the photography, through the brand that have taken interest in it and stuff. So everybody just kind of knew it was my house as like the spot to go chill and stuff. So I wanted to just do something for the people in my area because, to be honest, Knoxville scene is pretty dry. You know, we have some cool cars, and I don't mean to disrespect Knoxville because, I mean, I love where I'm from, and I'm very proud of the city that I was raised in, and I'm proud of the cars and the community that I've built there. But as a whole, I mean, we're just very unorganized. You know, we don't even have a regularly scheduled weekend meet because every time we do, the venue either gets trashed and it gets shut down, or someone just feels the need, like you said, have a pissing contest and they get into an argument, or someone does a burnout and wrecks into somebody's car. And it's just happened year after year to the point where now it's like no venue is going to take anybody serious until they actually show that, you know, they're for real. They're not going to sit here and trash their parking lot or do burnouts after everybody leaves.
Which it's hard to stop that. People want to fucking act out. That's just
and that's why I did my show, or my meet rather, at my house, like on my private property, because I didn't want it to be in a parking lot that's public where somebody could drive by and be like, oh, look, a meet, like I pull up.
Right,
I
this
didn't
is
want
your
that.
house.
Yeah, and so there were some people that had ruffled feathers because I didn't want them to come to my house because they either just, you know, the way they carried themselves, the stuff that they would say on social media that was, you know, insensitive to minorities and stuff. And I just thought, you know, this is my house. I can determine who comes here and who doesn't. So, you know, and then those people got really upset and I lost supporters and followers. But if that's the cost, then by all means, I'll take it. I would much rather have people that are genuine good people that understand the struggles and, you know, and just have good core values. You know, I would much rather have few followers that are true good people than a ton of shitty people following. You know what I'm saying? And you mentioned that I'm still small, which I'm proud to say that my brand has grown so organically.
Which is so key to like having a good audience is organic growth.
Like people don't know, a lot of people don't know this, but like my close homies do. Like I pull up at stoplights. If I see a car that I think is cool that, you know, matches the aesthetic that I'm into, I'll pull up, hop out my car, put it in park, get a business card out, knock on their window, be like, hey man, before the light turns green, and jump back in my car.
No, that's really cool.
I've done that for years. I mean, for years.
Fucking awesome, and that's so much more of a personable thing to do.
I was gonna say
that gets people to fuck with you.
I was gonna say because like, I mean, granted, some people will be like, yo, what the fuck are you?
And they are. They are. People usually are like, oh, is this dude about to like cat me or something?
You know what
but
I
I'm
mean?
like, nah.
That once they get over the initial shock, like what a sick fucking first impression. Like this dude whole ass just got out of his car at a stoplight to tell me that he's into my car and gave it.
Because I think, you know, it's
you
like,
know what I mean? How's
if this
that
car
not
isn't
gonna leave a
local,
good
you know,
first
it's like if it's a
impression?
local car that I've seen a few times, I'll think, okay, there's probably a chance where I might see him like in a parking lot, or like he or her might see that car in a parking lot or at a local show or something. I might see a chance to see it and give them a card and, you know, communicate with them. But if it's a car I've never seen before, it has out-of-state tags, I'm like, there's probably never going to be another chance I'll see this car again. And if it's cool enough that I feel like I want them to see what I can do and maybe work with them, then, I mean, hey, I'll take the embarrassment and the little bit of like, the little bit of fear that they might have when they see some dude hopping out the car to run up to their window. And
well, one thing I want to say, and I want to drop this little, one of those little moments in me and Liam's relationship that was just really cool to me is I remember we were fucking driving we were on 75 heading towards chat, coming from somewhere, I don't remember where, but I asked him if he knew about 1,000 True Fans, which for anybody that has a brand, is in a creative endeavor that you post online to be viewed by other people, it's definitely worth looking up 1,000 True Fans. But I'll give you the paraphrase here, because have you ever heard of that?
Not familiar.
Oh, this is perfect.
This is a bit of information that I'm going to share with you and hopefully anybody that's listening. So 1,000 True Fans, I, for the life of me, do not remember the author's name, but if you type in 1,000 True Fans on Google, you will find it. But basically what it talks about is the value of having, for the sake of the writing, having 1,000 fans that are like ride or die for you. Mm-hmm. Because you could have fucking 1 million people. You could have 1 million fans.
Right.
But if you have 1 million fans and they're not all ride or die for you, the fuck does it matter? But if you have, 1,000 people that will buy literally anything that you put out, mm-hmm. not only are they going to be free publicity for you on a very personal level, you know what I mean? If your friend were to tell you about a brand that they know about that you don't know about, mm-hmm. because you trust them, because they're your friend, and you now have that glowing endorsement, what are you going to do?
Probably going to go follow them.
Exactly, right? So the 1,000 True Fans idea is that having 1,000 people that, in one way or another, you make a personal relationship with as the owner of Misguided Media, that those 1,000 people are going to, you know what I mean? They are going to be, because they're your biggest fans, you don't have to be fucking, what the fuck?
You don't have to work.
You're not having to shotgun. You know what I mean?
Essentially, the 1,000 True Fans theory is that if you have 1,000 True Fans, you are set for life. Because, say, you sell 1,000 T-shirts for $30 a piece, that's $30,000. You could do that with anything. So, like, if you have, it starts off smaller. Getting to the point where you have 1,000 True Fans it takes a lot. And when I say true fans, that's people that you are engaging with. They trust you. They fuck with you, like everything. And personal like stuff like that, like hopping out of the car and getting to know people, like going out of your way to be social and be that person that talks to everybody is how you build that. Exactly. But it starts off slow.
I wasn't like that until I started the brand. I felt like I was extremely
I was the
awkward.
same way. When I went to shows, I would just like lurk and shit, But then when I started Not Fast,
prowler is like I like to call it.
It's like when I started Not Fast, all of a sudden I didn't feel like I was just gonna like walk up to somebody and be like, I like your car. No, like
you're now, representing your brand, so you have to have that confidence.
So it's like now I would walk up and be like, bro, I love your car. Let's talk about it. I would have never fucking done that had I not had Not Fast.
And people don't, like I said, people don't see the kind of time and stuff that it takes to get to where you feel like you're being recognized. For my first year and a half, I didn't have clients. Like my first shoot was this dude named Joey Hummel. He's one of my closest friends this day. I've watched this dude get engaged, have a baby, get married, turn his daily driver into a full-fledged drift car. I mean, like he's been there since day one. He was the first person to ever contact me and ask me to shoot his car, and we had never met before. Yeah. But before that, I used to just go to dealerships on Sundays when they were closed, and I would just do up-close shots of cars because I didn't want to put myself out there in the community and go to meets and talk to people. And I would just be, like I said, that parking lot prowler that would just roam in the backgrounds of meets and stuff, taking pictures while everybody's in the
I was gonna say, I can relate to that so heavy. Like cameras was really, you're probably exactly the same way. That was the way that I got into cars. Like it was an excuse for me to live vicariously through my camera. Like I would go to meets in England, like I'm probably like 16, 17 at the time. I go to car meets. It's nighttime, and so I know that a lot of people are not going to get good pictures because it's dark, and I'm like, I know how to do long exposures, so I would just set my camera up on a tripod, and the odd occasion that someone would come over and like watch me as I'm taking a picture and then see the picture come up on the screen and it's like way brighter, and they're like, how the fuck did you do that? And then I'm like, feel really uncomfortable, but I explain what a long exposure is, and then the more and more I did that, I felt more comfortable like talking with people. But cameras really were a way for me to like get over that anxiety, and like I'd just take pictures. People would see the pictures online afterwards and talk to me, and then they'd like see me at an event and be like, oh, you're Liam, you're that guy that like took this picture, and I'm like, yeah, that's me. And eventually it just you build confidence in doing it. And,
when you were saying the back to Northside, what I was saying about that was those people that were coming to that show, almost everybody that went to the first show came to the second show.
Yeah.
Because, and they said that it was one of the most enjoyable meets they went to because it was different.
Yeah.
And that's what I liked, was that I was doing something that was a little bit different than like most photographers. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what I am. I'm a photographer. And I feel like most of the people that I know in photography are self-taught.
Yeah.
I got a good chunk of my knowledge from going to school for it. But majority of the stuff that I've learned has been from bouncing ideas off other creatives like yourself, or just testing new features on your camera, just testing your editing style, constantly just trying to push yourself to do something different. Because when you get too comfortable, especially in photography, your work kind of just becomes...
Oh, that shit gets stale real quick.
Yeah, it becomes so stale. So like
quick.
I make it a point where like every 6 to 8 months, I try and, start testing out new editing styles, getting new equipment, just stuff that I can push myself out of my comfort zone. Because I mean, if you don't, like I said, when I first got down here with y'all, if you don't learn at least one new thing each day, then it's not a day worth waking up for.
That's
I
cool never thought about that, but that is a really, really good quote, quite honestly.
I appreciate
that.
And
going back to the Northside meet, I had a blast. Like me and Dustin, Dustin has cars. We were up in Gatlinburg shooting and kind of scouting locations and stuff for me to do a meet. And it just worked out that I could be in Knoxville basically in the evening when you were doing that meet. So, we pulled up and it was sick. I had a blast. You had a food truck there. Like, this is at your house. You had a bunch of, like, cool retro cars, like, all kind of spread around. And then a food truck and just, like, the homies hanging out. And I didn't know anybody, and so I felt, like, a little bit awkward. But, like, I got chatting to a few people, and it was just really relaxed and really cool. And I
can say firsthand that every person that was at that show are, like, people that I hold true and dear to my heart. Those are true friends that I consider people that I hope to know until the day I die, because they've been nothing but good supporters and great friends. And I want to thank all y'all that came out to Northside, because, if it weren't for y'all, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. But when you came down there, it meant so much, because, like I said, it was basically just a house party, because I do it on my birthday. So it was my birthday when I did it. But the cool part about doing it on private property and not doing it in public or at a venue is, like, we could drink beers if we wanted, we could smoke if we wanted, and no one was going to say anything to us, because I mean it was at my house.
Right.
And that's when I brought you inside, and we kind of got to chatting for a little bit.
And I started picking your brain a little bit more on Misguided, and you told me the whole story on how you got to that name and how it started, and that's just been
that was actually the first time I think that I met you in person.
Yeah, I think it was, because we chatted back and forth quite a few times. I think you had sent me one of your little magazine cover things that was sick. Like, I took so much inspiration from that. I even remember posting it on my story and being like, yo, this is like super inspiring. And I did the same thing when I came to the little meet. I was like, this is super inspiring, because I want to just I don't really care about car shows anymore. Like, it bores the shit out of me to go to car shows.
They're all the same. They're all the same.
Right. I get like
empty parking lot, the same group of cars.
Right.
The same
convention centers, you're stuck in there for 12 hours of the day. It's the same fucking people that a lot of the time that people that like I don't really even care about that much, because I know that they don't really care about me that much.
I mean, the reason you're going there is for the cars.
Right. And half the time some of the cars suck too. So like I really enjoyed going to your little meet, because it was just like, it was super grassroots, and it was exactly what I wanted. I was like, man, I wish that I could just have like all the homies with our cars over at the house, and we just grill out and hang out, and that's it. Like,
it was chill for sure. I look forward to, when I can find another, because I can't do it there because I don't live in that house anymore. So I'm going to try and find, a second location that's just as authentic and grassroots as that. It's going to be hard to do it, like the yard at the house, because we were able to fit, I think, right at 30 cars.
Right,
Jesus, at one house?
Yeah, I mean, it was the property next door as well, because it was vacant. Yeah. So we just used the backyard as like overflow, but we only put like maybe 5 or 6 cars back there. But as far as like my main property with the driveway, we probably put like 25 cars out there.
Damn.
Yeah, no, it was really fucking cool. Like I loved just that feeling of just being around all your homies. Like, I have not really ever had that. Maybe that's why I want it so bad, is because I've not really ever like I've never had it. Like, this is the first time, like, where we're at right now is the first time I've had a garage at home.
Oh, I'm just very envious.
Yeah, which I hate fucking working on the car on this thing, but, like, having your own space and just having all the homies over to chill is, like, one of the best feelings ever. And I think that a lot of that comes through in, like, when there is events and stuff going on, like Slamming Off Gatlinburg. Like, everybody likes to rent, like, a big fucking house together and hang out because it gives you that feeling.
Yeah.
And that is the only reason to go to those events. Like, literally, like, half of these shows are not even that good, and there are decent cars, but it's just going to hang out with your homies. Like, getting that feeling of just being at the house.
The coolest part is that everybody was willing to pay to get in, because, I mean, you know, I had to pay for the vendor for the food truck. I had to pay for, you know, water. I wanted to make sure everybody had water at least. For the first year, I went and got donuts for everybody. I went and bought like 6 boxes of Krispy Kreme and stuff. So the money that people paid wasn't really like to profit from, because I didn't make
no,
much
it's
of any
just
money.
to cover it and make
just
it
to
a
make sure
better
everybody
thing for
felt
everybody.
comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted everybody to feel like they could have a good time, and they didn't have to leave, you know, at a certain time. Like last year, the event ended at like maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah.
But the last person didn't leave until like 10:30 or 11.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
you guys had like a bonfire out
yeah,
back
we had
or
a little
whatever.
bonfire, and we were just chilling and chatting and shooting the shit. Just, I mean, it's all my friends. So it was just a really great time, and I look forward to when we can do that again at like a, hopefully a little bit more established venue and whatnot. But I just don't want it to be like every other car show where it's an empty parking lot.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so funny when you think about it, because like the thing about cars is they take up space. You know what I mean? They take up a lot of space. But it's like, you think about it, if cars didn't take up this much fucking space, but you could like at whatever size they would be in this hypothetical situation.
Like everybody get an MG, get a midget, and we'll all just have a big.
Everybody pulls up in stance clown cars,
like Miatas.
So like
we all got Little Tykes cars.
the yellow and red ones,
Yeah.
they're stanced out.
But like when you think about it, is if it was easier to put a bunch of cars in like a smaller area, like if everybody had like a property, you know, whatever size that was. Dude, I think in a lot of cases, like at least the majority of car shows, it sounds like I'm throwing shade and I'm not trying to, but like just based on what we're talking about, can you imagine if cars were like a manageable size and you can straight up just have like meets at your friend's house, and
I mean,
all
honestly,
of you could just be... I'd probably only ever go to like Riverside and Helen. I don't
even go to
any
many shows
ever again.
Like, and since I've started the brand, I really don't go to many shows. And before I did, I still didn't really go to many shows because I was always either working, money was tight, or my cars just weren't. I didn't feel like my cars were worthy to take to a show, because I'm not going to go to a show unless I feel like I can be in it. Maybe that's a little.
No, I get that.
But it's just like, why would I drive 3 states away to go look at other people's cars? Like,
Right.
I want my car to be in the showcase and stuff. I want to have a reason to stay and, hang out for the day, meet other car owners and stuff like that. But my mentality shifted as I got older. But, the only shows I really ever made an effort to really go to was Slammed Enough Gatlinburg in those first about 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. And then now it's become Riverside, because since Slammed Enough moved to Pigeon Forge, I don't even like going anymore. It's just... It's not what it used to be, but that's actually the first time I got in contact with Liam, was the last Slammed Enough Gatlinburg. Yeah, my homie Richard, which shout out Richard Young. He's got the cleanest Civic in Knoxville, and I wholeheartedly mean that. Not just because he's my friend, but we used to have like an annual trip to Slammed Enough Gatlinburg. So like for the first
like
3 years
vacation
of it,
or whatever.
Yeah, so like from like you said, I think it was 2015 or
2016 was the first year. Yeah.
So from 2016 to 2019, every fall we went to Slammed Enough Gatlinburg. Mm-hmm. And I was handing out, I had 2 stickers at the time.
Fuck, I totally forgot about this.
Did you? Because it always stuck with me.
No.
It meant so much, because I had 2 stickers out. I had the Arizona T one, and I had a Scarface one.
Yep.
And I didn't know who you were. I just knew the name LEP Automotive, because my friend Richard has always been on like really cool trends before it becomes popular, and he was really into watching after movies, car movies. Like,
that's probably why you guys went to Gatlinburg, right? Was
just because we loved seeing all the cool cars up there. and just
See, full circle. It's
you wouldn't have
hilarious.
gone without Liam's after movie, bro.
Hey, I know, and I like it, dude. It does
I didn't even
sound,
know who Liam was at the time.
it
I just saw
does-
a clean ass LS 400 in a side parking lot. I was getting gas.
Yeah.
I was getting gas at this little.
No, I remember, dude. I was waiting around for people who were like 2 hours late for a fucking photo shoot.
Yeah, I was just driving around. I was getting gas, and I saw this clean ass LS 400, and I was like, "That's pretty cool." I didn't have cards at the time. I didn't have any business cards, so I would just take my slaps, my stickers with a Sharpie, and just write my Instagram tag on the back.
Dude, it was so fucking smart, and I got the sticker, and I was like, "Oh, dude, thank you so much." I didn't really like think anything of it.
I don't even think I saw you. I think I just put it on your wiper or something like that.
I think you might have, yeah, because I may have been like off somewhere doing something, talking to someone, and then like I came back and it was there, and I remember I'd just thrown it in the car, and the next day, because my airbag on my steering wheel had blown up from me hitting a fucking pothole coming home from Louisville one day. Dude, blew all the airbags. Different, you know, I'll tell that story a different time. But in my vlog from the next day, I was like, dude, I got to do something to fucking fix this, because somebody was supposed to bring me a replacement one to Gallimbo, but they didn't. And I like pulled the sticker out, and I was like, I'm just going to stick this sticker on it. And I go to peel the back off, and I look at the back, and it says, at Misguided Media. And I was like, dang, I literally said this in the vlog. I was like, that is really fucking smart.
And my friend Richard sent it to me. It was like a week or two after the show. He sent me the URL, and he was like, dude, skip to this time or whatever. He shouts you out. And it was me and Hard PSD, which we won't even get into that. But like, I was just like, wow, you know, it's like to see a YouTube creative and like someone who's into cinematography and stuff, you know, shout me out and tell me how great it was to market that way. I just thought it was really cool.
I have told so many other people since then to do that. Like, I've literally told other people that, like, they'll ask for advice. So, like, hey, how do I get my name out there? How do I, like, I'm a photographer. You know, how do I get a reputation, blah, blah. And I've told so many people, like, hey, do you make stickers? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, just write your Instagram on the stickers and go hand them to people.
All right,
people
so
love stickers. They love cool designs.
People love free shit.
And it is a direct route to you.
I gotta tell you something that I'm observing over the course of this conversation and before when we were chatting, bro.
Yeah.
This is what you have basically down to a science, and as you get older, as the company gets older, as you keep moving on, this currently is and will always be the shit that sets you apart. The way that you approach things is so personal.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that.
The way that you approach things is so personal, and in like the way that things are today, basically in everything, but especially in this like arena, like brands selling product, really brands of whatever type selling products, you know what I mean? There are so many, I want to call them like customer vendor relationships, but that's honestly like a stretch for a lot of these things. So having somebody like yourself that's just really, like, I really enjoy talking to you, man. Like,
Likewise,
I really do.
man. You know, I'm
really
happy to be here. I was just a tad nervous coming down here because I was like, wow, you know, it's like being on camera. I'm usually on the other side of the camera. I'm usually taking the pictures and doing the videos and shit. So it's weird being on the other side.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
but
it is like that.
it's just cool because, you know, y'all share very similar views to me, and y'all are definitely some cool guys, and I'm glad to be here. But when you were talking about like with the personal aspect of it, I really tried to implement that with the booth too.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, getting the chance to, talk to people.
It's an effort thing, and people that will appreciate it are the people that I lost my train of thought. The people that will actually appreciate that and take the time to like look you up, like I did. Like, I saw the sticker, I saw that it had your Instagram on the back, and I even pointed it out in my video because I thought it was a cool thing. I wanted to share that with other people so that they would go check you out. Afterwards, I went and looked you up and checked you out. And like ever since, I have been a fan. I've been somebody who's like supported you. And it is just that effort thing.
Hey, man, I appreciate that.
Hey, absolutely. And there's always going to be some people that, you know, if you left a sticker on their car or whatever, like under the windshield wiper,
some people will get kind of pissed. They're just like, oh,
Right.
why would you leave this trash on my car?
Right.
But then I've had other people that are like,
And
I got one of your
get it.
cards, and like that was one of the coolest like tactics of somebody's ever tried
Exactly.
to market to me. And I'm like,
So,
I'm glad it left an impression on
I don't know if
somebody.
I've told you this before, but I actually did a similar thing. And I haven't really done it since because I haven't needed to necessarily. But Import Alliance was the first show that I did when I moved to the US. And it was
that you like vendored at.
No. I
that you
didn't.
just
I didn't.
attended.
That I had gone to and was planning to make an after movie.
Okay.
I saw a gap in the market for Import Alliance from making an after movie because before then, all of the videos that came out from it were just that dude in blue. Shout out to David Patterson, which he made a great video from it, but I'd grown up watching Crispy, Halcyon, those guys that made after movies that were more about the lifestyle around cars. And I was like, nobody's done that for Import Alliance. Granted, at the time, I didn't know what the demographic for Import Alliance was. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to pour.
Kids.
I was just like, I'm literally going to put the last of my money into driving down there. It's like right before my birthday. Like I just moved to the US. I had no money. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to book a hotel. I'm going to drive all the way down there through the night. And we're just going to film all weekend. I made 1,000 business cards that said LEP Automotive. They had my logo on it. And they said, I just shot your car. It might be in my after movie. And then it had the link to the Instagram, had the link to the YouTube on there. And that was that. I had my friends that came with me from Michigan walk around the show the whole day and literally put them on every single car.
Jesus.
And the only way that I could get away with it was the fact that the wording said, I just shot your car. It might appear in my after movie.
Maybe.
But here's the thing. Everybody was so fucking excited at the fact that it that it didn't matter that their car wasn't in it.
Yeah.
And so it worked insanely well. Like within that first night after the first day, I had hundreds of people on my Instagram blowing me up. Like they would fucking take a picture of it and like post it on their actual feed. Like they would post a picture of the car and be like, oh my God, I'm so excited.
Somebody possibly shot my car.
It literally built up so much hype. And when I dropped, I drove home like overnight. I went to the show on the Sunday and then left the show and drove 14 hours home overnight. The next day was my fucking birthday. Didn't do a fucking thing. I sat at my desk, edited this after movie, got it done. I put the after movie out like a few days after the event, and immediately it had 10,000 views within like 3 hours because they were
crazy.
just. And this was
watching
first after movie.
watching Liam work and watching him market. I enjoy that shit so much. I love talking to Liam and like picking his brain to various degrees about marketing because like I said, this is like I was talking about, and I apologize you guys for having to dip out there for a second. Everything's okay, and I'm glad about that. But so it's kind of like I was saying with you. The way that I really, because you're so personal, I almost don't even like to use the word marketing. But
it's thought and effort.
It's like when you are as personal as you are, it becomes very apparent very quickly to the people that will ultimately end up supporting you that you're a cool guy. You know, you're there to talk to them. You're just doing your thing and being creative. But it's like showing from the jump, like you're talking about jumping out at stoplights and shit. You are being creative and doing your thing. By doing stuff like that, in the span of a couple of seconds, you're already adding a second layer.
Well, yeah.
Usually it goes in the reverse order, right? Because they don't know you. They don't know anything about Misguided. So that first experience, it's like I was saying earlier, it's like that first impression that they have of you, you already nail that. So then when they go to Misguided and they're like, oh shit, this shit's cool. So he's like that and the shit that he's creating is really cool. Bro, you're already 2 dimensions in. Whereas like, you know, there are other companies where they'll be like vending at shows or whatever and people will just buy their stickers and they'll never think about them ever again.
Well,
That y'all really gassing me up right now.
Hey man,
means so much.
I'm just telling you the truth, bro.
And like I said, you know, before the brand, I really didn't talk to people very much in public, you know. And I told myself, you know, when I started handing stickers out, like when I gave Liam his, I didn't even give it to him in person. I just put under his windshield wiper because I was just kind of so shy and didn't like the feeling of rejection. Nobody does, but
well, of course. I mean, nobody wants to be put in that situation where I wouldn't have done this, but if you came up to me like, hey man, here's a sticker, I'm not going to be like,
fuck you,
fuck off, kid. Like that's not how it is. But there could be that one person that would do that, and that's enough to like scare you away from doing it. I
just came to the realization that the brand isn't going to grow by me being a recluse in the shadows.
I am so glad that you realize that. This is the one thing that I tell a lot of people when it comes to marketing. You know, marketing has this like stigma around it where it's like, it's a give-take thing. You're really like I don't know, the way that I perceive it in my head sometimes is that marketing is just finding smart ways to take advantage of people, which is actually not true. The way that I look at it, and the way that I've clearly seen that you go about this, you provide value to the people to then get them to look into what it is that you do. Whether they decide to then make a purchase is on them, but you provide value first, which then brings them in. If you think about these brands that just like, if you put out a cool design and that's it, you just put the cool design out, it's literally expecting people to just buy it because it's a cool design. Whereas in your case, it's a cool design, but you're going out of your way to show effort. You're putting thought into it. You're going out of your way to communicate with somebody. And then they're like, oh, dude, this guy really cares. And then they're like, I'll go check him out because he put in that effort. They check you out, whether they like it or they don't like it, then determines whether they become a fan or not.
It's so cool hearing like an outside perspective of it, because I mean, Misguided is my life. Every second of the day, I'm trying to think of ways that I can to make it better. But I think I owe a lot of that to my dad. My dad has been.
You said he has a used car lot, right?
Yeah, my dad.
That's a big
my
thing
dad
in
owns
that
a used
market.
car lot, and he has been instilling me for years. Not just selling cars, but selling any kind of product. He said the customer is not buying your product; they're buying you.
Yep.
So it's like if you don't believe in it and you're not putting the real effort into it, then it's just going to die.
With the used car lot is a great example of that, because you could have, let's take an E36 for example. You could have a nice E36 sitting on the lot. If you go into that dealership to go talk to a salesperson, you're like, hey, can I find out a little bit about that E36? And they just throw you your keys and they're like, yeah, whatever, just go look at it. The E36.
It's the same way
with
with Instagram and stuff. I try and use that as far as like social media marketing. Look how many fucking brands there are out there that make T-shirts and stickers. Mm-hmm. And I'm really trying to get away from just T-shirts and stickers. I really want to get to the point where it's like a full-fledged fashion label. But I view Instagram like he tries to teach me about the car industry. He's like, when somebody pulls on to the dealership, they already know that they're looking for a car. They know that they're out trying to buy a car, if not decide which one they want. So there's thousands of dealerships that they can go to, but they're coming to this one. They're just waiting for the right salesman to help them, to push them in the right direction, to show them what they need.
Nobody likes pushy salesmen. Some consumers are a little bit easier to push around than others, but people at the end of the day, just being like a good person, being personable, being nice, being polite, being helpful will go a long way. And I think that that's very much what it is that you do with your brand.
I appreciate that, man. And I also didn't even want to be in a used car salesman. I've only been doing it for just over a year. And I told my dad, when he asked me about being in that position, as a sales position, I was like, dude, car salesmen are just viewed as so sketchy and like shady.
So scumbags.
And he's funny? Not, but he's built a really good reputation for himself. But he just said, be who you would want
to buy
help
a car
you.
from.
He was like, don't be that typical, Southern checkered blazer and a cowboy hat car salesman. He's like, you know enough about these vehicles to give people information that they're looking for. And he's like, that's all that matters.
That's quite literally. So I sold cars for about 8 months when I moved to Chat. Mm-hmm. And I went into it exactly like that, because I not only do I hate like the archetype of like those salespeople, but I also hate those kind of, like myself, I hate those kind of salespeople that are really pushy and just fucking weird and like they assume all kinds of shit. So it's like when I went into it, it was the same. I was kind of like, all right, here's what I fucking hate. I'm going to be the antithesis to that. I'm going to be everything that they are not.
So you just have to break that stereotype.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like when I heard this so often where people were like, oh God, I was so scared when I like felt you walking up to me because I thought it was just going to be this. Like, you're not like that at all. And I'm like, that's what I fucking aim for. Like, I'm just a person.
I'm just here to help.
Yeah, exactly. So I totally feel that to a T because of that experience.
This is kind of where the true fans thing comes in. If you are that car sales guy that is pushy or whatever, sure, you may get more sales. But ultimately, when it comes down to the true fans theory, it's quality over quantity.
Oh, and that's what I live
exactly.
by,
You're not trying to make the most amount of sales. You're trying to make good sales. You're trying to make people happy. You're trying to provide a service that actually adds value to the community.
Because
and you will gain over time from that.
Those
that's the true fans.
people that have a good experience with you, and
Will come back.
this is car shit, or this is the shit that we're doing. This is brand shit. It's like we said, as far as the cars go, if somebody buys a car from you and they have a really good experience and they like you,
they're gonna come back.
Well, not only are they going to come back,
people.
they're going to refer you. And it's
Exactly.
like with the referrals, if somebody's like fucking just had a really great experience with you, anytime they even remotely hear somebody that they know or care about talk about it, they're going to be like, yo, go see him.
Yeah.
Go see him. This is the dude that sold me my car. He was super cool. It was clear that he was super honest, like his good price, this and that. It's like, I don't want to paint that as work, but it's like.
And I enjoy what I do for work.
You know what I mean? It's like you did that just because of how and who you are. That applies to all of this shit. It doesn't matter whatever application. It's just like when you approach that with personability and care and honesty, that this kind of like returns to something that I did want to say earlier, but I didn't want to like interrupt or anything, but it's kind of like it can be discouraging. And I mean, you see, and this is, he has a different reason for this, but it kind of goes back on what we were talking about with Dustin, is it's like, it can be really difficult and really trying to be in like what I would call the niche that I think the three of us and Dustin and Evan and all of these guys exist in, where it's like you're doing it because you care.
We're like paving our own lane.
You know
honestly.
what I mean?
It feels really nice.
It's kind of, and I don't want to say that for anybody that's listening, I don't want to say that to be holier than thou at all, because that's not how I feel. If anything, like, I want there to be more people in this group, because if you're in this group, that means that
we can all grow together.
You know what I mean? But it's
other.
like if you're in that group, that means that you are like us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That means that you are somebody that does this because you're passionate about it. You treat, people that support you with kindness, honesty, and warmth because you care about them for supporting you. I mean, you're putting out original content. You are, if you're not doing that, you're genuinely supporting artists that you get your, it's like, not all brands are, I don't have to tell you, not all brands are like that. And so it's kind of like, that's the part that can be discouraging is, not unlike me, not unlike Liam. It's a lot of times when you have a company like this, there will be, at times there are hurdles that just feel like they keep getting higher instead of lower. You know what I mean? But it's
those tough points where you feel like you're just constantly working against yourself, those are the times you really start to learn about yourself.
Exactly.
That's when you grow. You don't grow by being stagnant and just being content all the time. It takes those tough, rough times. Back to what we were saying about, the phases of depression and then like the low points you get in. Those are the times that make you. Those are what develop you into the person you are.
Well, that's a lot of that is to do with why I'm stopping doing LEP is because, I got a lot of stuff that I got to work on for myself. And, I've been overly ambitious for such a long time with everything. And part of the downfall of LEP not being profitable is because I put too much money into it. I don't have to. I could just take all the profits and dump it into the LS. The LS could be done by now. But I've always put it back into trying to do better things, putting it into media, supporting artists, like getting more inventory or just like investing in things that I know are not going to make me a quick buck, but I think that they will add value to my community. And ultimately, I just went a little bit too far with that, and now I have to take a step back and figure it out. But it's not like...
Yeah, for sure.
It's just part of it.
There have been occasions where I've thought the same thing, like, damn, I've put so much damn money into this brand. And it's like, I could just get rid of everything that I have right now, just do one last big final show and sell it all and just put it towards the cars. But what's that going to do for my community, No,
it's not going to help anybody.
Right. And I'll say, like, Knoxville, I feel like deserves something that's genuine. I feel like we have a lot of brands that come and go that have, claimed that they were for the community, but they really just kind of were in it for the cash grab. But I'm not trying to get rich off Misguided in any way, shape, or form. If anything, it costs me more money than it makes me. Right. But I do it because I love it. Like I said, I've been around cars my entire life. Everything that I've done as far as all my lines of work have been related to cars. You know, I valeted cars at a country club for the first 7 years of work from the time I was 15 up until, you know, about a year or two ago. I worked part-time for my dad detailing cars for years during all the summer months. I sell cars at his dealership, you know, and I love working with my family. And I owe all that to my family, to my dad and my grandfather. You know, if it weren't for them instilling the love of cars into me, I wouldn't be doing this. But as I said, my love of cars is my passion, and I feel like my passion is tied to my purpose on this earth. So whether it be Misguided, whether it be selling cars, anything, I just know I have to be in this community. So I might as well make the best of what it is and try and help it in any way that I can.
Amen to that, because that sounds
I
haven't been able to word that exactly.
Applauding right now.
I haven't been able to word that exactly, but that is 100% how I feel a lot of the time, and that's good.
And the misguided thing, it's like we've all felt misguided before. I feel like we've all taken a step back from our car builds and thought, like, is this really doing all that great for me? Is this the direction I want to go? Is this worth the money that I've put into it? But if you really care about it and you're really passionate about it, that's what matters. You know, even if it doesn't make you a lot of money or if it's a financial burden, it's like, I don't know. There's a level of escapism in it.
No, passion is tied into every single bit of your DNA that is about your purpose here on Earth. Like you said, like when you're passionate about something, that's extremely important. It doesn't matter whether it's, you lose money, it's a burden, whatever. Like if you're passionate about something, it's extremely important.
Well, what's funny is when you said that, it made me think of this. Is it's like exactly what he was talking about. He's like, I ended up spending too much money. Is the thing about that, at least in my experience, when you're passionate about something, like in a weird way, a lot of that, whether financial, like whatever it is that you're kind of like fading out when you're like in the zone and you're doing your thing, designing whatever it is. Like the thing about that passion is when you really think about it, when you get in a situation like him or like me where you're kind of like, oh fuck, like I've spent like a little bit too much. None of that shit occurs to you while you're doing this because
you're having fun.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's not even, that's just what's so cool about it. I mean, granted, I guess the takeaway from any situation.
I was going to say the learning lesson from it is to be a little more self-aware. Don't be too passionate. Well, be passionate, but like...
No, be too passionate, but just like be aware. Be aware of like your resources, lack thereof, things like that, but it's like from a very fundamental standpoint, when you're fucking doing a design, you're not you're doing the fucking design. You're in the zone, you're creating. You're not going like, all right, how much ink is this going to use? How much person?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think I even told y'all, like when we were sitting there in the living room and chatting and shit, there's nothing that makes me so excited as to when I like finish a shoot with a client. And I usually tell somebody, like, I'll have these pictures back to you in about 24 to 48 hours. Yeah. In all reality, I'll probably have it back to them in like 5 or 6 because I'm so eager to get home, edit them, get them finished.
You ever hold yourself back? You edit them within like 4 to 6 hours just for you,
don't want to see
and then you wait
eager?
like another like 48 hours to send them just so that they don't get the impression that every single set ever.
Sometimes there have been times when I've gotten home and like I'll be like, yeah, I've got some other stuff I got to do, and then there are other times where I've just gotten home and that's the first thing I do. I have it done in like an hour.
I swear I'll do the same thing, but there are I've done thousands of photo shoots over the years. There's definitely been like. It gets to a point where, the majority of photo shoots that I do are not like crazy exciting. So unfortunately, I don't have that same like feeling, but I can relate to it because there are the occasional shoots that I'm like super fucking stoked on. First thing I do when I get home. And then I'm like, fuck, if I send this to them right now within like 2 hours of me getting home, they're going to expect this and everybody else is going to expect this to be the same thing all the time. And so I sometimes have to wait like another 12 hours or another day to like send stuff just so that it sets the standard where it's like, okay, it's going to take 2 days.
And I know that I'm not going to get these pictures in 30 minutes.
Yeah, because otherwise you set the expectation too high and then people are like, where's my fucking pictures? And you're like,
oh, yeah, and people are pushy when it comes to pictures too. That's like a lot of my friends have ventured into like wedding photography. I will never do that because like that is too much pressure. It's like cars is one thing, but like that's a whole nother level. But, even when it's stuff that's not super hyped to shoot, I still am just excited and beyond proud of the fact that there are hundreds of other photographers for these people to choose from. Even if it's not the coolest car or the coolest location, this person is spending their hard-earned money for my service. So the least I can do is make them a priority and get these pictures back in a timely manner and put my fullest effort into it.
Goes back to it. The effort, the thought, people appreciate that. It's adding value. So if there is anything that you guys can take away from this episode as a listener is, if you're in business or not, adding value to any kind of relationship is ultimately going to make that a better relationship.
Always. There's no relationship or situation when you constantly trying to add value and you constantly trying to contribute will not be advantageous for you.
Right.
I mean, because when you think about it, that's anything in life. Like, what would you rather do? Contribute or just take constantly?
And no.
If you're not a shitty person,
you're gonna want to contribute.
You're gonna want to contribute. I mean, that's the fucking rules. You know what I mean? And it's like,
nobody likes the friend that you have to reach out to all the time. They never reach out to you. You have to reach out to them all the time. Nobody likes that friend. It's the same thing in business.
The seasonal friend.
Yeah, just be like, literally just add value. Do something for someone, and they, don't ever do it with the expectation that they have to do something back, but they are more likely to. If you're nice to someone, you go out of your way to do something for someone, that will come full circle. I fully believe in that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. As we're getting close to the 2-hour mark, I do want to try and round up somewhat. Future plans for Misguided. That I really want to hear your thoughts on what you want to do with it going forward.
As far as future plans, I would really like to get to the point where I'm doing, stuff outside of t-shirts, which I actually have in the works. I want to do nice garments, like some flannels or something.
Like cut and sew stuff.
Yeah, just stuff that actually seems like a real media label rather than, or like a fashion label as opposed to, just another t-shirt sticker
Right, you're
brand.
buying blanks and printing on them. You want to do it. I very much respect that because it's a hard thing to get into.
Oh yeah, and I mean
It's
the
expensive.
streetwear as a whole is kind of dead as of the past 5 years. Because now if you can buy a t-shirt and get on Custom Ink, you can make your own t-shirt brand.
Right.
So you got to just kind of you just got to care. You got to care about it and believe in it.
And
set
then you have to
yourself apart.
build an audience of people that care too. And
I would really like to get to the point where I can do at least 1 or 2 shows a year, like high quality shows that that would.
So you want to get into hosting events?
Yeah, obviously not on the level that Mason has with Riverside. I mean, that seems like a little bit more than I'm willing to bite off and chew right now. But something on the size of Northside, where it's somewhere between 50 to 60 cars.
well,
Just
not,
something
not
small,
for nothing.
niche thing?
When you were talking about that, when you were talking about Northside, so it's kind of like we talked about with Mason. We all associate Riverside with Chattanooga.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it is now. You know what I mean? That's just kind of where.
I mean, it's the reason we live here.
Yeah, it's what he built now has that spot for so many people. So it's kind of but the thing that's different between Mason and what he did versus anybody else that's doing parking lot meets or whatever. For me, I feel like you're kind of on that same path. You know what I mean? Because you're saying that.
That means the world, man.
No, I'm serious. So it's I don't really know all that much about the scene in Knoxville. I only know, what you tell me, but it's kind of like you were talking about. There's not really people approaching it like you are. And the thing about that is going to be the reason that if you do put yourself in that position where you kind of brace yourself and be like, all right, I'm going to put this effort in. And, I hope that like you said, the size of Riverside is a little bit more than you want to bite off right now, which I understand. You know what I mean? That makes total sense. But what I am getting at is I'll just be honest with you, bro. For me, in my mind, it is not a stretch to think that your events will kind of become that staple for Knoxville. Because the thing is, man, this is what I'm trying to tell you. The way that you approach this is different. Not everybody approaches it this way. And I wouldn't fucking tell you that if I didn't genuinely believe that. And I didn't hear that and see that, when I hear you talking about this stuff. And it's that's what we're saying, man. It's when you're contributing and you're providing value and you mix that with how personable you are, how much you care about what you do, how much you care about the people that support you, and how you approach people that don't even know you yet, just because by powers of observation, you gather that they are interested in the same thing as you. Why the fuck can that not be you?
And you know, I would just love to give Knoxville the opportunity to be put on the map the way that Mason's put Chattanooga on the map. You know, like I said, our scene is kind of dry in the sense that we don't have a central meeting location. We don't have a very good annual show that goes down that people do something for the community. But that doesn't mean that there aren't some sick-ass cards with some genuinely good owners and just a good group of people that are in Knoxville.
It just doesn't have the platform.
Yeah, we just don't have the platform for it, and that's what I'm hoping to provide for them. And, you know, when you say if you're not sure what's going on in Knoxville as far as the car scene, get one of the lookbooks, man. That's the best way to see what's going on and what kind of cars are there as far as like the stuff that I like. You know, I feel like we all share similarities in what we favor. So if you want to see what the stance community and like the aftermarket scene is like in Knoxville, just get one of the lookbooks. You know,
where can we get the lookbooks from?
At www.misguidedmedia.com.
All right, how to make sure you plugged it.
And you know, with the booth and stuff, when y'all had Mason on here for the first episode of season 2, hearing Mason, you know, talk about the impact that the booth had was amazing. You know, because I strived for that, because when I used to go to Import Alliance, when I used to go to Slammed Enough and shows like that, I noticed that I was younger, and these people that were, you know, vendoring, that were, you know, the face of the company that was there selling the products, they're so damn busy selling stuff that they don't have a chance to talk to you or answer any questions or stuff like that. So I set the booth up with the mentality of like, you know, it's like a pop-up store, you know. It's not just a vendor just out here with a table in the front slinging shirts. Like, I want you to feel like you can walk through, browse, look through the shirts at your own leisure, look at the products, and feel welcome to stay as long as you want. And if you have questions, I'm here if you need me. But, you know, I don't want you to feel rushed. You know, there's a lot more to see than you could grasp in a matter of 30 seconds.
And that's how I've always wanted my fucking vendor to be, but it doesn't work like that, because I have so many people that, you know, come from YouTube and whatever other things. Like, I enjoy being at the booth because I get to talk to people, and like a lot of people will come up to the booth, have a conversation with me. That's fucking awesome. But I've always wanted to have it set up more like a pop-up store where people can just come in and browse, and the products do the talking for themselves.
And see, that's another weapon that you have, because you know who else does that? Nobody.
There was one brand that I took a lot
Except for
of
the
inspiration
one that you're about to name.
I think it's a UK-based brand, but Slam Sanctuary.
Yes.
Slam Sanctuary
have killed
their
it.
booth, I always thought was one of the nicest setup booths, because it looked really professional. It was more than just a 10x10 tent that had, you know, white poles with a table with products. You know, they had like wood grain tables with like metal piping.
Dude,
their products are always really top notch. Their cars that they put with the booths are always great. And Slam Sanctuary's business has been thriving, from what I can tell, you know. And it's like, I feel like a lot of it has to do with the way that they conduct their business.
There is a bunch of brands like that in the UK. Like, I don't know what it is, but they are clearly working a lot harder than the guys are over here to like provide for those communities. Like ILB Drivers Club.
ILB Drivers Club is amazing.
I have known those guys for such a fucking long time.
Have you seen his E28 in person? That thing is sick.
I haven't seen it since he like radiused the rear, but that car is fantastic. As a group, they're amazing. The brand is incredible. They put in so much work. The videos are amazing. Like, they really set the stage for a lot of this shit. And even Auto Finesse. You ever heard of them?
I believe I've heard of them, but
they're a detailing company. Their booth has always stood out to me. Like, the very first show that I went to, I saw their booth. They had this incredible fucking Mark 1 Volkswagen Caddy, super, super well done car. They had hand painted the logo on the side of it, and their whole booth was like, I can't remember what the fuck they were, but like some kind of like wooden crates or whatever that showed off all the products. It was just really well done, and like, people over here just aren't doing that. And I mean, I'm part of that too. Like, my booth is just a basic fucking tent, and that's because like I have an audience that I sell to. I don't have to like work quite as hard to like get people to come in, but I wish I did. I really want to have like a pop-up store. I don't want to be like the face of the fucking brand where people just come up to talk to me or whatever. I want the brand to do its own thing.
Yeah,
like I want like
the goal is for the brand to be its own entity.
Exactly.
That if you were to die, that people are going to remember the brand.
Yes.
You know, that's what I could strive for. But
And I think that part of me like taking this time away and killing LEP hopefully will do that for me, because
I remember when you said you were gonna just spend your full time working on LEP and making that your full time job, and I was like, wow, hats off to this dude, because I wish I could do that, but I just know I can't do that right now.
Shit, I mean, I wish I could do it too.
It's just so
I
much.
I literally do. I moved here,
and with as broke as everybody is, as expensive as gas is, as expensive as everything is, really, it's hard for people to justify spending, $50 on a shirt or $150, $200 on a shoot and stuff. But with the booth and everything, having that ability for people to walk and look through at their leisure gives me a chance to walk around and look at cars, because that's what I'm there for. I'm at the car show to look at cars.
Dude,
so
that's what I would love to get back to. I miss car shows and getting to enjoy cars. Like 100, being at Southern Fresh the other week, fuck, man.
See, and I would love to go to those kind of shows. Like, I've never been to Helen, I've never been to Southern Fresh, I've never been to Import Alliance Atlanta, and none of those things, because I'm always working at my day job, so I can then fund Misguided.
Yeah.
Misguided is...
It's tough, man.
Misguided is, at this point, is kind of paying for itself as far as, like, the money that I've put into it the first year or two, and now is just that money is recuperated and it just goes towards other products and stuff and other releases. But yeah, I'm hoping that it can stay around. I hope that people will start to see that it's more than just like a t-shirt sticker brand.
I think you have the recipe, bro.
Yeah,
I
think so.
legitimately think you have the recipe, because, I mean, just honestly, bro, like, I don't mean to keep like super gassing you. Yes, I do. Fuck it.
Hey, man, I appreciate it more than you ever can imagine.
You have the recipe, and like the thing about it is, just because of that, when you have the recipe, as long as you have the determination and strength of will, the longevity is there to be had.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the thing about you is, like, you're like Liam in there. I mean, I'm like this, but not like you and Liam, I guess, quite to that degree, as much as I'm cutting myself short. Like, the ambition, y'all both fucking reek of ambition. Like,
I'll take a shot.
I was hoping you weren't going to smell it.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like the fact that you just have that onboard sense of like, I'm really going to do this. I want to come out with new creative products. I want to be creative how I feel like being creative, and people are either going to fuck with it or they don't. But you know what? I'm doing what I like to do.
Yep.
That's always going to be a part of you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like, even if you are going through a rough point, and for me, you've heard the other episode, like, anybody that listens to this podcast regularly knows what happened to me, what still happens to me by nature of being bipolar, right? So it's harder for some people than others, just for any kind of reason. It doesn't have to be a mental illness kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, the thing is, I can just see it in you, bro. I can just see it in you that you have that vision, and you're not going to let any fucking thing stop you from continuously working to get where you want to be. And that's longevity, dude.
Hey, that means a lot, man, because the brand is just a physical embodiment of me.
That's how it should be.
It's everything that I care about, like the movies that have inspired me, the music that I listen to, the area that I'm from. I feel like, if you really took the time to look at the brand, look at the photography, look at the lookbook, you'll see it's very Southern. It's true to, Tennessee. It stems from a lot of like 80s, drug dealing movies. Like,
yeah.
Dude, I was going to say, you just handed me an air freshener before we started recording, and I was looking in detail at the packaging on it. Like, it's ridiculous the amount of effort you've gone into just on the packaging of an air freshener, which is ultimately going to get ripped apart and thrown away. Is so fucking cool.
And I think about that all the time. I'm like, man, I put so much time and energy into this just for someone to probably just not even glance at it and just throw it away.
No, it means
people
a ton.
notice that shit. Don't get it.
It has like the little icons on it that say like the scents that the smells that it'll fucking get rid of or whatever. You got a little weed symbol. You got a little fucking pet symbol.
I know
it's
most of the people
cool.
that are supporting what I do and they fuck with my aesthetic. We all know y'all smoking.
Yeah,
so.
Dude, it's really fucking cool. But anyway, I don't want to drag this on too much longer. My ass is so numb.
Same.
These chads are the most
shout out to our
things.
garage studio.
I got to give some shout outs to the people that have put me to where I am. I got to give a shout out to my mom and dad. They've been beyond supportive. My grandmother has been my biggest fan since day one. Stefan, my friend Ethan and Shelby have been there for me. They've worked the booth with me so many times and traveled to shows with me. My friend Joey. Tyler Dakota, Jacob, Richard. If I'm forgetting anybody else, I apologize. But, I just feel like I could not take all this credit by myself because that would just be a bold-faced lie. If it weren't for my friends that have supported me and kept me going and pushed me to try harder, to keep doing what I'm doing, I wouldn't be sitting here with you guys. So, I got to give my people my flowers. I got to give my people their flowers.
Yeah, man.
That is the recipe, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, man.
Being grateful and being humble and doing what you love simply because you love it, that's the recipe. Watch this man and you can learn the recipe.
And if you guys want to go check out Zach and any of the stuff that he does, you want to plug your Instagram, website, all of that stuff?
Yeah, Instagram is at Misguided Media. It's just one word. And then the website's misguidedmedia.com. You can cop anything you see on me there. I actually didn't wear my hoodie just because I was like, I had to throw on the Hypnotized Minds hoodie. But, I do at least one drop every other month. I'm getting to the point where I'm wanting to do a seasonal drop, like once every 3 or 4 months and do multiple pieces in each release, like the way you just did your last one.
Yeah.
So, there's constantly something coming out at least every 60 days.
Fuck yeah, man. And I'm stoked to see where this goes, and I'm stoked to see, your future and everything grow, and hopefully work with you on some stuff in the near future too. I'm
Likewise,
definitely
man. I'd like
excited that you put a fucking sticker under my windshield wiper,
Hey, man,
however 3 years ago or whatever.
Yeah,
I think
just,
it was, it's like
just
3
about
years
3
ago.
years ago, and I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart, man. Because who am I?
Hey, dude, you're a guy who thinks just like us, that is clearly doing good things and providing value. And me as the person who somewhat has a platform, is building a platform for sharing stuff like this, I want to put you on, man. I want other people to know about your brand. I want other people to understand who you are, what the brains are behind the brand. And hopefully, this is just opening it up and having this dialogue and letting people see who you are is adding value to. Like, hopefully some of you guys that are listening and watching this, have taken something from it. And please go check out Zach's stuff. You make some really good stuff, and I'm super excited to see, stuff that comes out. And also, if you guys want to come see the booth in person, you're going to be at Riverside, which is April 2nd.
Yep. I actually have another release of stuff coming out the day before, so I've got 2 new shirts coming out with some air fresheners. License plate frames are getting restocked, some new stickers, just a handful of little stuff. And then hopefully I'd like to make something happen in Knoxville sometime here soon. So I'd love to bring you on for that. And if I'm able to do a show, I'd love to have you on as a vendor, maybe talk to Mason about coming up as well. I'd love to see Not Fast make an appearance there too.
Shit, me too.
Yeah. But no, that's awesome, man. And yeah, like I said, please, guys, if you want to see this podcast grow and us get more and more people on that are like-minded like us, please do everything that you can to support us. We put in a lot of work on this, and to you guys, you just get like the 2-hour episode, but there is a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes to make this happen. There's also a lot of credit card debt on me, but that's all good. It'll get paid off eventually. The value of being able to do this, means more to me than that debt. Although I would like to take care of it.
I would like to pay it off, though.
Yeah, it definitely would be a good thing.
Even with 2 hours, there's still so much I'm sure we could all sit here and chat about.
Literally, I'm sure that when we get off of this, we'll go in the living room and talk for a little while.
When I know you all talked at one point about making Substance mobile, you'll have to come up to Knox and do an episode there. I would love to have you.
We definitely want to. We want to travel out to more events and interview people, just because it's a hassle to have people come to Chattanooga, and it'd be nice for us to get out to some car shows and justify the expense of going to car shows, so that we can set up in our hotel room or Airbnb and whatever and just record episodes. But none of that will be possible if you guys don't support this. So please, when this episode goes live,
so go buy the shit, bitch.
You ain't even gonna buy anything, man. Just share this. Like,
hey, give us those stars.
Honestly,
on Spotify. Yeah. We still do not know what they do, but they're there to be
stars.
Poked,
I listen to y'all on Apple Podcasts. So.
You can give us stars on there.
Can we?
Yeah, you can give us stars.
Hell yeah.
But no, you don't have to buy anything. We're not asking for money from you guys. If you want to go check out our sponsor, Wheel Price, please do. But yeah, just share this. If you're at this point in the episode, I know that you fuck with it. I know that you like what we're doing. Just literally take a screenshot of your screen on your phone if you're listening on Spotify or whatever you're on. Just take a screenshot, post it on your story, tag at @substance_show. Shit, even tag me at LEP_automotive or Matt at Substance Matt. just tag us and share it. It gets it out to so many more people and ultimately makes it a better show. More people we have, more perspectives, more. It just opens up doors, and we love you guys.
And
we
also
appreciate it.
Also, one quick thing at the end for all the people that are still here. Just one more reiteration that the Discord is up and running. It's fucking cool, to be totally honest with you. It is fucking cool. So if you're not in there yet, I'm sure the invite link will be under this video on YouTube.
Yes, sir.
I guess technically we need to put it on like the Spotify too.
It is.
People,
It's on.
Oh,
it's on
it is.
there.
Okay.
Yeah, I
All
put
right,
it
perfect.
in
So
the description.
yes, the Discord is really cool and it's growing. And honestly, more channels are being added as people make suggestions. As you saw at the beginning of the episode with the American cars. So just come check it out. If for no other reason to just kind of see what's there. But I think once you get there, I think you'll be interested in staying because every day there's more shit that's being posted on there. There's more conversations that are being had. And like Liam said, I think I do believe that we'll still have to figure out the logistics and all that, but we may start doing some type of stream maybe on like Monday evenings or something where we can just kind of have,
conversation
running,
while it's happening.
running commentary and things like that. So we've got a lot of really cool plans for it, and the more people that are on there, the more content that you'll have to enjoy or be inspired by or whatever. So, but for those of you that are already there, we really appreciate you. For those of you that hear me say this and plan to go, we appreciate you. And those that will never ever use Discord because you fucking hate it, we appreciate you too.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll be back next week for another episode. Peace, guys.
All right. See you.
Bye.